Chapter 291. Painting of the 5th level, done. Is such a thing possible? To know the constituent of the ink and the mud on the savage beast beforehand, is he still a human? Listening to the explanation, the crowd widened their eyes in disbelief, as if it were the most absurd thing they had ever heard. Painting a picture using a savage beast that was caught at random, and you were able to create a breathtaking verisimilitude art piece which only 2 star painters are capable of producing. Brother, you are about to break through the heavens. Vice Guild leader Cheng does indeed possess a superior eye of discernment. Hearing the other party point out the reason, Xianxia complimented. Even though the other party's words were not perfect, the idea was there. While he was correct about the mud on the verdant alacrity beast, he failed to explain why they appeared so perfectly on each corner of the plum blossom. Naturally, it was due to his manipulation. However, since the other party had explained it this way, he did not bother to add on. You said that as long as this painting reaches the 4th level, you will admit defeat. Do you still have anything else to say? Xianxia glanced at Jimo Gongzi with a sharp gaze. Aye. Jimo Gongzi's knees caved in, and he fell to the ground. His face went as pale as a sheet of paper. Initially, he thought that his victory was certain and that nothing in the world could change it. Never in his dreams did he expect that the other party would hide a trump card within his painting. By heating it with a fire torch, the painting was brought up by entire level. Jimo Gongzi could only hear the thunder rumbling in his mind, and he nearly burst into tears. At this moment, all he felt within himself was regret. Of all people, why did he have to provoke this fellow? Furthermore, he could have accepted the draw, yet he had to push his luck. In the end, he simply dug his own grave. Feeling greatly depressed, he turned to Vice Guild leader Cheng. Initially, Vice Guild leader Cheng intended to ignore his plight. However, after a moment of hesitation, he sighed and asked, "Little brother, how should I address you?" Xianxia. Brother Xianxia, you and Painter Ji are pillars that will prop up our guild. On my account, can you forego the bet? Vice Guild leader Cheng Feng asked. Jimo was courting death. Vice Guild leader Cheng Feng was already siding with him by declaring the match a draw, yet he wasn't content with the result, choosing to push the boundaries. Now that the other party has brought the painting up to the 4th level without having made a single action, Jimo had no choice but to admit defeat. Just that, if he were to admit defeat, he has to carry out the bet they promised on, and this bet would be too huge of a loss for both this talent and the guild. Forgo the bet. I'm sorry, but I don't have the habit of not retaliating when someone has already climbed over my head. Waving his hands casually, Xianxia uttered, "Kneel down and admit your mistake. Then, leave the Painter Guild and never return." If the other party had merely provoked him once or twice, Xianxia wouldn't have been bothered to waste his efforts on him. However, since the other party had chosen to cross his line time and time again, he shouldn't be blamed for getting nasty. This. Hearing those words, Vice Guild leader Cheng and Vice Guild leader Wu exchanged gazes, shook their heads simultaneously, and fell silent. Since Jimo has lost the bet, he was expected to carry it out. Otherwise, if word spread that the Painter Guild was siding with their own people, the prestige it had built up in the capital would crumble. Seeing that Xianxia was unwilling to give in even after the Vice Guild leader had pleaded on his behalf, Jimo's face darkened. "Fine, I'll apologize to you." After which, he kneeled to the floor. Glaring at Xianxia with a grudge so deep as though the other party had killed his father, he spat, "It's my fault for provoking you. I apologize to you." Scram. The other party was clearly insincere in his apology, but Xianxia wasn't bothered. In his eyes, Jimo was nothing more than a pesky fly. Scram. Jimo stood up resentfully and he sneered, "I may have lost the bet, but you don't have the right to prevent me from entering the Painter Guild. Even I leave today, I can still return tomorrow. I am an official painter of the Painter Guild. Do you think that a mere bet can restrain me? Dream on." This. Hearing Jimo's sneer, the crowd felt despise for this rising painter. However, they couldn't help but agree with the other party's words. No matter how mediocre and unseemly Jimo Gongzi was, he was nevertheless an official painter after having passed the examination. Even if the bet could cause him to leave temporarily, it was clearly impossible to ban him from entering the guild for good. The bet can't restrain you. Xianxia stroked his chin, him appearing to be deep in thoughts. That's right. Unless you camp outside the guild every day, I will still return, without a doubt. Ha ha, I might have lost this time, but it can't be considered your victory either. Jimo Gongzi put on a "so what can you do about it" expression gleefully. His words were true. No matter who it was, it would be impossible to camp outside the Painter Guild forever. The moment Xianxia left, the other party would be able to easily return back in. After all, it is just a verbal bet, not an official contract. Even if I do not comply with the bet, what can you do to me? I won't be camping here. However, if you were to return while I am away, it will indeed look bad on me. When a human tosses aside his pride, he will feel invincible. Initially, Xianxia thought that this fellow would value his dignity, given how he had won himself the heart of countless ladies. Yet, to think that he would be so shameless. Thus, Xianxia could only nod his head in agreement. This is indeed a dilemma. However, this isn't any big issue, and there's a simple solution to it. A simple solution? Only 3-star painters are qualified to issue a ban. Are you thinking of banning me from the Painter Guild? Dream on. Jimo Gongzi sneered coldly. Only painters who have reached a minimum of 3-star have the right to order a permanent ban on specific people. In Jimo's opinion, no matter how incredible Xianxia's painting skill was, he could only be a 2-star painter at maximum. Since he wasn't a 3-star painter, how could he ban him? 3-star painters can issue bans. Xianxia pondered for a moment before nodding his head. Then, I'll take the 3-star painter examination first then. Take the 3-star painter examination. Is this person sleep-talking? To actually say that he wants to take the 3-star painter examination. He must be joking. While I admit that he's formidable for being able to create a 4th-level painting, he is still a far way off from reaching the level of a 3-star painter. Shocked by Xianxia's words, the crowd nearly fainted. Of the entire Qianwu kingdom, only the guild leader has reached the level of a 3-star painter. It being so obvious that to do so isn't any simple feat, do you think that you can pass the examination just because you want to? Speaking so arrogantly, aren't you afraid that the heavens will punish you? Even the 2 vice guild leaders couldn't help but shake their heads to his words. The youngsters nowadays are complacent, unable to realize there is a huge world beyond what they are able to see and imagine. Even though it was just a level of difference between 3-star and 2-star, the gap was just like the divide between heaven and earth. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been stuck at the level of a 2-star pinnacle for so long. They weren't the only ones. There were more than a dozen 2-star painter in the Qianwu Kingdom Painter Guild, but there was only one 3-star painter. The disparity between a 2-star and a 3-star painter wasn't something that just anyone could fathom. Yet, to say so easily that he would take the examination. The ignorant sure is fearless. Ha ha. This is the funniest joke I've heard today. Jimo Gongzi sneered coldly. Don't become complacent just because you happen to create a painting of the 4th level. You're still way too far from becoming a 3-star painter. Disregarding the conceited Jimo Gongzi, Xianxia walked up to the 2 vice guild leaders, hesitated for a moment, before asking sheepishly. Actually, I'm here to take the painter examination. That. I would like to ask, how does the apprentice examination work? Putong. Everyone fell to the ground. The heck? Didn't you just declare haughtily that you would take the 3-star painter examination? Yet, to ask about how the apprentice examination work. Brother, you must still be sleeping. Besides, you just created a painting of the 4th level, which means that your skill is on par with a 2-star painter. How can you not even know how the apprentice examination works? How does the apprentice examination work? It can't be that you aren't even an apprentice. Realizing something, Vice Guild leader Wu could not help but ask. Cough cough, that's right. I've never taken the apprentice examination. The reason why I'm here today is to give the examination a try. Xianxia nodded his head as if it was the most natural thing to do in this world. Pu. Everyone's eyes fell to the floor. The 2 vice guild leaders shuddered at the same time, and they nearly vomited blood. Being not even an apprentice, you dare to challenge an official painter and wager with him. Aren't you being too bold? Furthermore, to be able to easily utilize a savage beast to create a painting of the 4th level. Despite not even being an apprentice, your skills and experience are clearly higher than ours. Are you sure that you aren't lying to us? More importantly, you speak so lightly of the examination as if it were nothing. Other people have to put in the grueling effort just to pass the painter examination. Yet, from your tone, it sounds as if you're doing this just because you've some free time. Fine. You do seem to have the ability to do so anyway. Suppressing the depression welling up in them with great effort, Vice Guild leader Wu began to introduce the examination. The examination for painters isn't as complicated compared to the occupations. One doesn't need to take the examinations one by one as long as one is able to create an art piece to prove that his skills have already reached a certain level, he is qualified for the rank. For example, a person who has created a first-level reality depiction work is qualified to become an apprentice painter, and a person who has created a second-level spiritual canvas is qualified to become a 1-star painter. Given that you have just created a painting of the 4th level, you are already qualified to apply for the 2-star painter rank. It's that easy. Not expecting the painter examination to be so much easier than that of the other occupations, Xianxia's eyes lit up. Then, what is the requisite to apply for a 3-star painter rank? A 3-star painter has to create a painting of the 5th level, spirit creation. There is a huge gap between the 5th level and the 4th level, and of the entire guild, only our guild leader has reached this level. Seeing that the other party was still hung up on this matter, Vice Guild leader Wu tried to persuade him. Given that you're able to create a painting of the 4th level at your current age, your talent is top-notch. Furthermore, you have never undergone professional painting training. If you study diligently under a true master, you will surely be able to create a painting of the 5th level in less than a decade and pass the 3-star painter examination. As such, there's no need for you to be so anxious. The difference between a painting of the 4th level and the painting of the 5th level was extremely huge, comparable to the gap between the Tongxian and Xianxia realm. Even though the Winter Plum Blossoms painting that Xian just created had reached the 4th level, luck seemed to have played a huge factor, and even so, the painting appeared to have barely reached that level. T is still a far way off from reaching the 5th level. To wish to sprint before you can even walk. Aren't you being too anxious? Vice Guild leader Wu is right. Being able to create a painting of this level at your age bears testimony to your incredible talent. In my years with the Painter Guild, you're already the most talented painter that I've seen. As for 3-star, it's better for you. Vice Guild leader Cheng Feng quickly chirped in as well. However, halfway through his words, he saw the youngster walk past him, and within a few steps, he was standing before the Winter Plum Blossoms painting. There was a bowl of water, which appeared out of nowhere, in his hand. Taking a gulp, he sprayed the water out from his mouth, all of a sudden, onto the Xian paper. Hualala! The water droplets fell onto the painting, and grey spots appeared on the previously white portions, as though snow falling from the heavens. In an instant, it created an image of the plum blossoms standing proudly in the snow, contending against the heavens. Wang! Spiritual energy in the surroundings suddenly gathered around the painting, and the plum blossoms emerged from the surface of the Xian paper. Relentlessly, the flowers were trying to climb into the sky, as though trying to challenge the heavens and destiny. I'm done. Placing the bowl on the table, Xian clapped his hands. Then, turning toward the 2 vice guild leaders, Xian casually pointed to the painting. A painting of the 5th level. Done. Chapter 292. Zhao Ya and the others arrive. Zhao Ya and the others arrive. The winter plum blossoms are using spiritual energy from the surroundings to grow. Is this a painting of the 5th level? Just by spurting some water, it became a 5th level painting. Does it have to be so exaggerated? The faces of everyone present distorted in shock as they became dumbfounded. It was merely a savage beast playfully running and rolling about on the paper, so they thought that the painting would be nothing at all. Yet, with a mere shake, it transformed into a 3rd level painting. And that wasn't the all. By heating the painting with a fire torch, it was immediately elevated to become a 4th level painting. Then, with a spurt of water, it created the effect of snow, allowing the painting to reach the 5th level. The heck? Are you a painter? Or are you a street performer? A fifth-level painting is something that only a 3-star painter is capable of creating. Yet, to be able to reach that level with a savage beast. What is this craziness? Everyone turned to look at Xianxia once more, and they couldn't help but doubt if he were human. A moment ago, they thought that he was just an arrogant, boastful, and ignorant lad. But now, they realized how wrong they were. He was actually a grandmaster possessing skills beyond their imagination. A painting that seemed to be scrap was forcefully raised to become a painting of the 5th level. It was just like magic, leaving the crowd present thoroughly bewildered and dizzied. This. The lips of the 2 Vice Guild leaders quivered in astonishment. This is beyond incredible. For a child who isn't even 20 to create a 5th-level painting. Even in the headquarters, he would be considered as one of the top geniuses. More importantly, anyone else, even if it were a 3-star painter, would have to abstain from meat, meditate, and conduct several types of preparations to adjust their state of mind before they were able to create a painting of the 5th level. Yet, this fellow achieved this with just a spurt of water. When did creating a 5th-level painting become so simple? Did I actually challenge a fellow who is capable of creating 5th-level paintings? Ji Mo Gong's face paled, wishing to knock himself dead on a pillar at this instant. After scolding the other party took out a savage beast to challenge his skills. After mocking the other party's painting, the other party immediately brought the painting up to the 3rd level with a shake. After saying that the other party's work was a collaboration and that the result shouldn't be a draw, the other party immediately raised the level of the painting to the 4th level. And now, it has been raised to the 5th level. Are you here with the purpose to slap my face? If I knew that you are a grandmaster capable of producing a 5th-level painting, no matter how foolish I may be, I wouldn't have dared to provoke you. Now, my attempts to make my name known has made me a fool, and I have become a laughingstock. Needless to say, flirting with ladies, I would be too embarrassed to walk in the streets. Give it a check, ascertain whether it is a 5th-level painting. Ignoring the shock that the crowd was going through, Xianxia turned to the 2 Vice Guild leaders. There's no need to check, it is definitely a 5th-level painting. The 2 Vice Guild leaders were astonished beyond words. A 5th-level painting is capable of absorbing spiritual energy to materialize its own contents. Even though the painting didn't yet possess wisdom, it was capable of leaving the original dimension of the painting and creep outward. One didn't require a deep understanding of painting in order to identify a 5th-level painting, only requiring that one not be blind. As the Vice Guild leaders of the Painter Guild, 2-star pinnacle painters, how can they possibly be unable to tell a 5th-level painting? Then, am I eligible to claim the 3-star painter emblem? Xianxia's eyes lit up. This. Vice Guild leader Wu forcefully calmed down the agitation rippling within his mind, and after hesitating for a moment, spoke, going by logic, you are eligible as a 3-star painter. However, our guild leader is the only 3-star painter at our branch, and he is absent at the moment. We don't have the qualifications to confer this rank upon you. You don't have the qualifications. Grandmaster Zhong, there's no need to panic. Vice Guild leader Wu waved his hands immediately to placate him. His method of addressing Xianxia had changed from brother to grandmaster. Since the other party was able to create a painting of the 5th level, this showed that his skills had far surpassed theirs. Even though they were much older than him, they didn't dare to overstep their boundaries and call him brother. It would truly be indecorous for them to do so. They would be disregarding order and hierarchy. As long as we send your painting to the headquarters and have someone to examine and verify it, the emblem should be issued soon. Vice Guild leader Wu added. This will take around 10 days. 10 days. Yes. However, while we are unable to give you the 3-star emblem, for the time being, we can present you with the 2-star emblem on the spot. Vice Guild leader Wu gestured, and an apprentice walked forward to receive instructions. Very quickly, an emblem with 2 shining and brilliant stars on it was brought out. 2-star painter emblem. It signifies one's identity as a 2-star painter. UN. Xianxia was delighted. He didn't expect the painter examination to be so simple, that one is able to directly obtain a rank just by producing a piece of work. It is unlike the other occupations which conduct all kinds of troublesome tests in order to assess one's skills. Since Grandmaster Zhong has successfully produced a 5th level painting, even though you have not obtained the actual emblem, you already possess the authority of a 3-star painter. Vice Guild Leader Cheng Feng interjected. Can I already exercise the authority of a 3-star painter? Very well, this painter Ji Mo has provoked me time and time again, and I hereby declare that he is permanently banned from the Painter Guild. Zhong Xian turned to the crowd as he spoke. Hearing those words, Ji Mo Gong's face turned pale, and he collapsed to the ground. The other party had become a 3-star painter, and he had gained authority to issue bans. Once this ban was filed, all of the branches of the Painter Guild would receive the order, and he would be unable to enter any single one of them. Any attempt to circumvent this ban would be taken as an act of provocation against the Painter Guild, and the offender could be killed on the spot. Ji Mo thought that he used this countryside bumpkin as a stepping stone to make his name known. Never in his dreams did he expect to instead knock into a tough boulder, leaving himself with a smashed head. Painter Ji, you may leave now. Hearing Zhong Xian's orders, Vice Guild Leader Wu shook his head, having no choice but to drive the other party away. Even though he thought that it was a little too harsh, it was an irrefutable fact that Ji Mo had lost the competition, and thus, the wager. Hence, there was nothing more he could say about the situation. Besides, in Zhong Xian's presence, Ji Mo Gong's talents amounted to nothing at all. There was no need to think about whom they should support. Yes. Albeit reluctant, Ji Mo Gongzi knew that the ban had been issued, and there was no point of reconciliation. Unless his skills surpassed that of the other party, he would never be able to overcome this ban. Huala. Rising to his feet, he turned around and walked out of the Painter Guild immediately. He would only be embarrassing himself further by staying here. Damn it, damn it. Upon leaving the guild, he roared furiously to the skies, and killing intent shone in his eyes. To dare to humiliate me like that, I'll never forgive you. Men. Young master. A figure immediately appeared from the depths of the darkness. Investigate his background, find out who that fellow is, and if there is an opportunity, kill him. He flung his hands grandly. For him, a young master of one of the 3 great clans in the capital, to be humiliated in public by a nobody, he felt an indescribable rage within him. Yes. The shadowy figure nodded and, with a slight blur, disappeared into the darkness once more. Where is your library? After obtaining the status of an official painter, Zhong Xian didn't leave immediately. Instead, he inquired about the location of the library. The painting books he browsed through in Master Lu Chen's house back then only covered the fundamentals. While it was sufficient to create lower-level paintings, Zhong Xian required more advanced books to improve. Since he had already become an official painter and was at the Painter Guild, it would be beneficial for him to look through the books and seek further improvements. Grandmaster Zhong, this way please. Vice Guild Leader Wu led the way. In no time, the party arrived at a massive room. This is our library. Vice Guild Leader Wu pointed inward. Zhong Xian nodded. I'd like to take a look at the books, do not allow anyone to interrupt me. After which, he strolled in with his hands behind his back. The collection in the Painter Guild was much larger than that in Master Lu Chen's house. An innumerable amount of books and art pieces of all sorts laid within the massive room. Seeing that Vice Guild Leader Wu and the others didn't follow him in, Zhong Xian took a deep breath, placing his finger on the first row, and then started on his job. Swiftly, book after book was duplicated into the library of Heaven's Path. While Zhong Xian was duplicating books in the Painter Guild, a huge aerial savage beast landed outside Qianwu Kingdom, and several figures leaped off its back. So, this is Qianwu Kingdom. A youngster stared at the towering city walls, his eyes glittering with excitement. That's right. Within the crowd, an elder stroked his beard and chuckled. We had to take a carriage to Beiwu Kingdom so as to borrow an aerial savage beast from the royal family to travel to Xianxia Kingdom. Even though we didn't rest much throughout the journey, it took us a month to reach this place. Qianwu Kingdom is incredibly vast. A lady within the crowd smiled. The slight illumination from the stars and the moon added a mysterious allure to her beautiful face. Blinking her eyes twice, she asked, "Say, Do you think that teacher has arrived yet? I heard from Xianxia that Xianxia would be heading straight for the Red Lotus Ridge right after leaving the Beast Hall. He probably has something to attend to there, so I doubt that he has reached Qianwu Kingdom. However, there's no need for us to worry. He will surely come here to take the Master Teacher examination, so we'll just have to wait for him here. Another lady spoke up. In contrast to the shy lady from before, this one exuded a valiant aura. Her facial features were unbelievably beautiful. It was as if she had come right out of a painting. Let's not waste our time here. We should proceed into the city. The elder from before interjected into the discussion. I'm reminding all of you beforehand, Qianwu Kingdom is a Tier 1 kingdom, unlike Xianxia Kingdom. You have to behave cautiously so as to not offend any formidable figures by mistake. Although I can solve most problems through the Master Teacher Pavilion, it will be exceedingly troublesome. Thus, it'll be best to remain prudent. Yes. A few people answered harmoniously. Seeing the group agreeing to his words, the elder nodded. The sky has turned dark. We should enter the city and find a place to rest. Tomorrow morning, I will contact the Master Teacher Pavilion to check if Senior Zhong has arrived. Before Senior Zhong returns, you must have all broken through to Dingli Realm, or else I would be too ashamed to meet him. Liu Shi, rest assured. Hearing his instructions, the group nodded immediately. If Zhongxian was here, he would surely be able to recognize these figures as his 5 students, together with Liu Shi, Lu Zun, Huang Yu, and a few others. When Zhongxian left Hongqian Academy for the Beast Hall, this group had also headed for Beiwu Kingdom. Riding on a carriage, it took them more than 10 days to arrive at their destination. Then, Liu Shi borrowed an aerial savage beast from the Beiwu royal family, and only then did they manage to pick up speed. However, this savage beast was unable to compare up to Zhongxian's howling firmament beast, possessing only a Tongxian realm cultivation. Thus, it took them a dozen more days to arrive here. As such, it took them slightly over a month before they managed to arrive at Qianwu Royal City. In this long period of time, Zhao Ya and the gang's cultivations had improved significantly. The Library of Heaven's Path modified secret manuals that Zhongxian left behind were top-notch, and coupled with Liu Shi's tutoring, it would not be an easy feat for them to not improve swiftly. Right after the awakening of her unique constitution, Zhao Ya's cultivation had originally risen to Dingli Realm Pinnacle. At this moment, 2 faint bundles of light could be seen on her body surface, bearing testimony to the fact that she has already opened 2 acupoints to become a Pishua Realm expert. On the other hand, Zheng Yang and the others had also improved swiftly. They had reached Fighter 4 Dan Pigu Realm Pinnacle, and they were only a single step away from reaching Dingli Realm. Of the group, the one with the weakest cultivation remained as Yuan Dao. But even so, he had already reached Pigu Realm Intermediate stage. On top of that, his defensive ability had grown greatly, to the point that Zhao Ya's offense was a mere itch to him. Even Pishua Realm Pinnacle experts would be unable to break through his defense. He had become a human shield in the truest sense. Lu Zun, as Liu Shi's apprentice, had also improved significantly under the latter's guidance. A month of training had allowed him to advance to Tongxian Realm Primary Stage. Huang Yu had also successfully advanced from Dingli Realm Pinnacle to Pishua Realm. But of course, the one who underwent the greatest improvement was Liu Shi. The pointers which Xianxia offered him back then in Qianxia Kingdom allowed him to overcome the obstacle which had hindered him for many years, and he successfully became a Xianxia Realm expert. The magnificent energy in his body billowed mightily. All right, let's enter. After paying the entrance fee, the group entered the capital. Zhao Ya and the others were immediately captivated by the bustling city, and their eyes widened in thrill. We'll stay here. Walking through the streets, they soon spotted an inn in the distance. Liu Shi led the group there and settled them in. Liu Shi, on the way here, I noticed that the Painter Guild is in the vicinity. I would like to try taking the apprentice painter examination. Having made all necessary arrangements, Lu Zun walked over and looked at Liu Shi expectantly. You will require a supporting occupation to become eligible for the Master Teacher examination in the future. Go on. Liu Shi waved his hands casually. Yes. Nodding his head, Lu Zun walked out of the inn. Chapter 293, He is called Zhongxian Hu. Exhaling deeply, Xianxia rubbed between his eyebrows. Even though there were many books in the Painter Guild, to Xianxia, it just meant a slightly longer run. In less than an hour, he managed to duplicate all of the books in the library into the Library of Heaven's Path. Even though I am able to produce 5th-level paintings, my understanding of the occupation is sorely lacking. Now that I possess these books to augment my knowledge, I should finally be able to live up to my identity as a 3-star painter. Looking at the neat rows of books in the Library of Heaven's Path, Xianxia stretched his back lazily. Even though he was able to create 5th-level paintings through the painting techniques mentioned in Master Lu Chen's books, he didn't know much about the basic history of painting, the various styles, schools, and such. Taking Du and Yu, for example, he was capable of executing the top-notch martial arts technique, 6-pulse divine sword, which allowed him to defeat the powerful Murong Fu. However, his fundamentals were extremely weak, and he didn't know any other basic techniques. If he were to face a group of hoodlums, he might not even be a match for them. Xianxia was in a similar circumstance. He was able to create a 5th-level painting easily, but if one were to ask him to produce a reality depiction painting, he would find it very difficult to do so. However, with the books from the Painter Guild library, it was no longer a problem. Once Xianxia read all of these books, his knowledge would far surpass that of 3-star painters, and perhaps even 4-star painters. However, I have countless books in the Library of Heaven's Path collected from Xianxia Kingdom Book Collection Vault, the Beast Hall, Poison Hall, and Painter Guild. There are several 10 million of them in the library, and if I were to read them one by one, how long would it take for me to finish reading all of them? After gathering the books, another dilemma struck him, leaving him with a slight headache. He had already duplicated over tens of million books since his time at Xianxia Kingdom, and even though he had been reading whenever he found the time, accompanied by his fast speed at reading, he could only cover a maximum of 1,000 to 2,000 books every day. In comparison to the huge collection consisting of tens of millions of books, the number of books he could read a day was just like a droplet of water in an ocean. Furthermore, as he goes further and deeper into each occupation, the amount of books he would have to read would only increase. Without several years of effort, it would be impossible for him to convert all of them into his own knowledge. If only I have the golden page. Xianxia thought. The golden page was something that was formed by the Book of Heaven's Path. It could instantly assimilate all of the knowledge contained within the library into his own mind. If he obtains the golden page, he would be able to easily remember everything contained in the library, and he wouldn't have exhausted himself flipping through the books one by one. I thought that it is formed only when someone is grateful to me, but thinking about it now, that shouldn't be the case. When I was passing off as Xianxia, there were many people who were grateful to me, but the golden page didn't form. This means that there is more to it. Thinking of the golden page in the Book of Heaven's Path, Xianxia tried to recall the scenario in which it appeared. He had no idea when the first golden page appeared, but the second golden page appeared when Zhao Ya and the others challenged Lu Xun on the dueling platform in order to defend his honor. Back then, their gratitude carried the purest and most earnest of emotions between teacher and student. Can it be that only strong feelings of gratitude between the teacher and his students can make the golden page appear? As Xianxia, most of the people he helped felt deference to him instead of such feelings. I can give it a try. Thinking of this, Xianxia's eyes lit up. While other people might find it impossible to verify such matters, Xianxia had a method up his sleeves. Casually taking out an empty book from his storage ring, he wrote his conjecture in a book before touching it lightly. Wang! With a jolt, an identical book appeared in the Library of Heaven's Path. Xianxia flipped it open casually. It is really the earnest gratitude between the teacher and student that forms the golden page. To think this would be the case. Upon seeing the results of his conjecture, Xianxia felt agitated. If he knew that this golden page was formed like that, he wouldn't have exhausted himself reading along the entire journey. He put in so much effort but had only managed to read a small portion of the entire sea of books. Looks like I should accept a few students and think of a way to make them feel grateful to me. Xianxia smiled gently. Once the golden page was formed, he would be able to easily convert those knowledge into his own. Right now, what he lacked was an accumulation of knowledge. Only with sufficient knowledge can he easily identify flaws and solve problems without utilizing the library of Heaven's Path. I wonder if Zhao Ya and the others have arrived. Seems like my only choice is to make an inquiry at the Master Teacher Pavilion tomorrow. Since I'm free now, maybe I should walk around to see if there's anyone I can guide. Perhaps, I might even find myself a student. Thinking so, Xianxia stepped out of the Painter Guild library. As he was leaving the library, he met the two vice guild leaders, and after a short chat, he stepped out of the guild onto the streets once more. Time is precious, so it was imperative for Xianxia to identify a way to form the golden page. The moment he stepped out of the guild, another young man walked in from another direction. He was Lu Zun, who had just arrived at Qianwu Royal City. The Qianwu in which they settled in was just a few hundred meters away from the Painter Guild, and he rushed here as soon as Liu Xia finished making arrangements. To take the Master Teacher examination, one must have a supporting occupation. I have learned painting from my father from young, and I've long been able to produce paintings of the reality depiction level. I should first settle the apprentice painter examination before thinking of a way to become an official painter. Witnessing the large and majestic calligraphy at the entrance of the Painter Guild, Lu Zun felt agitated. With his current skills, it would be difficult for him to qualify as an official painter. However, becoming an apprentice painter shouldn't be much of a challenge. Upon stepping into the guild, he saw paintings after paintings hung on the walls. There were mountains, streams, canaries, spring, the radiant sun, and to his astonishment, all of them had attained the level of reality depiction. With a single gaze, he could tell that the painters behind those works possessed an understanding of painting that was in no way inferior to his. As expected of the Painter Guild, impressive. Lu Zun couldn't help but comment with glowing eyes. Because this branch didn't have a long history, even Master Lu Chen hadn't been here to visit, so Lu Zun naturally wasn't aware of what was within. He hadn't expected to be able to see so many incredible art pieces the moment he enters, and was impressed by the sight before him. Gongzi, may I know what kind of painting you are looking for? I can bring you around the guild. Right after he entered, the green-robed attendant who served Xianxia previously walked up to him with a respectful attitude. I'm not here to buy a painting. I am here to take the apprentice painter examination. May I know where the examination held would be held? Lu Zun smiled. Are you here to take the apprentice painter examination? The green-robed attendant was taken aback. Usually, examinees appear only once every several months. What is going on today? Why have they appeared in a whole group today? Right after Ji Mo Gong's assessment, Grandmaster Zhong appeared. And right after Grandmaster Zhong left, this fellow came to take the apprentice painter examination. It sure is lively today. This way, please. Even though he was bewildered by the situation, he didn't dare to keep Lu Zun waiting. After all, he was just an attendant of the guild, while an apprentice is someone who has a chance to become an official painter in the future. There was a huge gap in status between the two. UN. Lu Zun followed behind him. Impressive, this is really a 5th-level painting. Indeed, to think that he would be capable of painting a 5th-level work in his first examination, and moreover, below the age of 20. He is such a genius. Even Ji Mo Gongzi fell in defeat before him and was chased out of the guild. His talents are indeed impressive. My head is still whirling from the situation just now. That is truly the most exciting competition I've ever seen. I didn't think that a savage beast would be capable of painting as well. This is something which I've never dared to even think about in the past. Making his way in the spacious hall, discussions in hushed voices echoed from all directions. Even though there were many of Ji Mo Gong's fans within the crowd during the competition an hour ago, there were also plenty of noblemen and aristocrats who were truly passionate about painting. It was Grandmaster Zhong's first appearance here, and he had already left the entire guild amazed. They say that someone was able to produce a 5th-level painting in his first attempt at the examination. What is that about? With the discussions around him heating up, Lu Zun could no longer hold back his curiosity and asked the green-robed attendant. Oh, they're talking about the competition that concluded just a moment ago. The attendant's eyes glowed with excitement when he heard the question. Not only was he able to watch the proceedings of the competition clearly from right beside, he was the one to attend to the Grandmaster, and he felt greatly honored. Competition. That's right. It happened just a few moments ago. The green-robed attendant soon recounted the events vividly to Lu Xun. You say that the Grandmaster dipped the savage beast in ink, allowed it to walk on the Xian paper, and with just a shake, turned the painting into a third-level art piece. Lu Xun widened his eyes in disbelief. Having studied painting under his father since young, he understood the difficulty in producing a third-level painting. Even his father couldn't guarantee to be able to produce a third-level painting every single time he paints. Yet, this Grandmaster is able to create such a painting using the random footsteps of a savage beast and a casual shake. Are you trying to exaggerate things? However, the true shock was laying in wait. By heating the painting with a fire torch, it turned into a fourth-level painting. With a mouthful of water, it became a fifth-level masterpiece. The more he heard, the more he found his mind unable to cope. He was on the verge of entering a frenzy. Why does it sound like fiction? If it is true, then that Grandmaster's control over his painting is way too fearsome. It's all true. I attended to the Grandmaster myself, and I witnessed the proceedings of the competition personally. I can't be wrong. Seeing the disbelief in the other party's eyes, the green-robed attendant declared proudly. That's amazing. If I can become a student of this Grandmaster, my painting mastery will definitely soar rapidly, and it won't be long before I become an official painter. Seeing how the other party was so certain of himself, a thought appeared in Lu Xun's mind, and it soon grew to the point that it could no longer be contained. One of the prerequisites to the master-teacher examination is to become an official member of another occupation. Even though Lu Xun had been studying painting from young, he knew that there was a world of a difference between reality depiction and spiritual canvas. If he studied all by his own, he could possibly take decades to reach the next level. However, with the guidance of an incredible teacher, this process could be greatly shortened. He didn't know about other Grandmasters, but the one which the attendant just spoke of amazed him greatly. To be capable of elevating the level of a painting so easily, especially to the fifth level, the Grandmaster's comprehension of painting must be unimaginably profound. If he were to come under the Grandmaster's tutelage, he would be able to clear all the doubts he had immediately, and his path as a painter would become much more smooth sailing. What is the name of that Grandmaster? Do you know where he is? Is he accepting any students? Arriving at this conclusion, Lu Xun could not help but ask, his face reddened with agitation. That Grandmaster. If I'm not wrong, his name is Xianxia. The green-robed attendant pondered for a moment before replying. Xianxia. Lu Xun's eyes widened immediately. Duan Yu, reference to demigods and semidevils, he is known for being capable of utilizing the ultimate art, 6 Meridians divine sword. However, he only managed to learn this technique due to a series of coincidences, and due to his lacking fundamentals, he was unable to execute the technique every single time, which posed as a fatal flaw. He managed to defeat powerful antagonists like Murong Fu but often lost to minor and weaker characters. Chapter 294. Sneak attack. Can it be that this person is Uncle Zhong? Lu Xun's body swayed, and an urge to vomit blood welled up within him. From the moment he challenged him in Xianxia Kingdom, he had been suffering blow after blow. He thought that now that he had come to Qianwu Kingdom, he would be able to walk out from the other party's shadow and make a name for himself. Yet, the moment he arrived, he suffered yet another blow. Are you my nemesis? Why must you appear wherever I go, just like a vengeful spirit? More importantly, to always hog the limelight. Holding back his dismay, Lu Xun asked, how does this Grandmaster Zhong look like? He's around my height, slightly thin, having fair and smooth skin. The green-robed attendant pondered for a moment before describing Zhong Xian's physical traits. Halfway through, Lu Xun could already tell that it was definitely Zhong Xian. Forget it, I'm already used to suffering these blows on my confidence. Ascertaining that it was the person he was thinking of, even though Lu Xun felt gloomy, he heaved a sigh of relief. This monster wasn't just incredible, the students he taught were the same. Competing with him would just frustrate him and shorten his lifespan. Lu Xun had thought this matter through on the way here and had decided to just accept his lot. Initially, when he heard about the legendary affairs of this grandmaster, he thought that there were monsters like Xianxia in Qianwu Kingdom. But since they were the same person, at the very least, it was proof that Xianxia was the anomaly. Otherwise, if everyone were like him, Lu Xun wouldn't stand a chance at all. I should first take the apprentice painter examination. After I'm done, I'll inform teacher, Xingyang, and the others about it. They'll probably be delighted at the news. Adjusting his state of mind, Lu Xun decided not to dwell on this matter and, under the lead of the green-robed attendant, entered the examination hall. Xianxia was oblivious to the fact that Lu Xun had entered the Painter Guild right after his departure. At this moment, he was strolling casually on the streets. In order to form the golden page, he must find students and win their earnest gratitude. But where can Xianxia find a student? He couldn't possibly grab a random passerby and demand the person to acknowledge him as his teacher, right? If he did so, he would probably be pummeled to death on the spot. Qianwu Academy. Xianxia's eyes lit up all of a sudden. He would definitely be pummeled to death if he were to grab random passerbys and plead with them to become his student. But, in an academy, the situation was completely different. The reason why students join an academy is to seek knowledge, and they offer their unconditional trust to its teachers. It was feasible for Xianxia to impersonate a teacher. As long as he is able to find a suitable student, it wouldn't be difficult to make him feel grateful. Furthermore, he had heard that the best academy in Qianwu Kingdom is in the capital when he first entered the city. Not a bad idea, I shall head over now. Thus, he made up his mind to ask around for directions to this academy. However, at this moment, he noticed something strange and his eyebrows shot up. Someone is following me. He is currently a half Xianxia expert, and even without utilizing the Library of Heaven's Path, he is able to sense the hostility in others. Despite the dense crowd, he could clearly sense a faint but malicious intent in the air. Even though this intent was carefully concealed to the point that any other Xianxia realm experts would find it hard to detect, Xianxia, who had reached a soul depth of 5.0, was still able to discern it easily. Could it be that Ji Mo Gongzi? He had just arrived at Qianwu Kingdom and didn't know anyone. The only enemy he had made was Ji Mo, whom he had just taught a lesson. He didn't expect the other party to send someone after him so quickly. He glanced over casually using his peripheral vision. There was a total of 5 people, and they were all at Tongxian Realm. 2 of them had even achieved Tongxian Realm Pinnacle. It seemed that Ji Mo Gongzi was unaware of his actual cultivation realm, thus he thought that sending these few people would be sufficient to deal with him. After all, painters are different from the other occupations of the upper 9 paths. A prerequisite for beast tamers and apothecaries to attain a promotion to 2-star is to possess Xianxia realm cultivation, and to reach 3-star, they have to possess a Zhizuan realm cultivation. On the other hand, one's cultivation realm is irrelevant to his status as an official painter. Regardless of whether he is at Tongxian realm or Pishua realm, as long as one has reached a level of enlightenment and is capable of painting a 5th-level work, he would be eligible to become a 3-star painter. That being said, those who are capable of produce of 5th-level painting tend to have a rich experience in life, most of them already in their 70s and 80s. In addition, given the huge amount of money they could earn from each of their painting, they wouldn't lack resources. Thus, even if they weren't able to reach Zhizuan realm, they would be at minimum Xianxia realm pinnacle. Thus, on the whole, there wasn't too large of a difference between painters and the other occupation. It was extremely rare for a quirk such as Xianxia to appear. To paint a 5th-level painting before the age of 20, he had already broken all of these underlying assumptions. Back in the Painter Guild, he didn't display his strength, and the Heaven's Path Xianxia allowed him to conceal his cultivation realm perfectly. Thus, no one was able to tell how high his cultivation realm was. However, based on his age, it was unlikely for him to exceed Pishua realm. Thus, Ji Mo Gongzi thought that these few experts would be more than enough to give him a punishment. There are too many people here. I should look for somewhere remote to play with them. Xianxia chuckled. Since his transcension, even though he has been trying his best to raise his cultivation all along, he didn't have much of a chance to try out his moves, and his fists had been itching for an opponent. Since these fellows were here to cause him trouble, he could make use of them to test his techniques. Acting as if he didn't notice the other party, he glanced around to look for a remote alley. To his frustration, he realized that Qianwu Kingdom was way too prosperous. Given that the sun had just set not too long ago, the streets were still filled with crowds, so he was unable to find any suitable locations. Time to go out of the city then. Besides, he was on the outskirts of the city and wasn't too far from the city gates. Thus, he began walking with widened strides. Why is this fellow heading out of the city? The group of pursuers, upon seeing Xianxia stride past the city gates, became dumbfounded. There were too many people in the city, and if a conflict occurs, it was highly probable that it would blow out of proportions. Just as they were in a dilemma about how they could bring this fellow to an isolated location, this fellow took the initiative to leave the city, all by himself. Isn't he acting too obediently? Who cares? He's just a young lad. Don't tell me that you're scared of him. That's true. Even if he were to have started cultivating even from inside his mother's womb, he can only have attained Tongxian realm at best. It is impossible for us to lose. The few men hesitated for a moment before nodding simultaneously. Even though the environment and resources for cultivation in Qianwu Kingdom were much better than that of Xianxia Kingdom, a Tongxian realm cultivator could already be considered an expert. Given that not one but 5 such experts were at once sent to deal with an insignificant young lad, it was no wonder why they were so confident. I shall remind all of you once more, the young master has instructed us not to kill that fellow. No matter what, he's a 3-star painter. If he were to die, the Painter Guild headquarters would definitely look into the matter, and this would bring the young master a lot of trouble. What we'll do is to humiliate him. I trust that you know what you should do. A Tongxian realm expert, who appeared to be the leader of the group, instructed the others in a suppressed voice. Rest assured, we know what to do. The others nodded simultaneously. Because of his status as a 3-star painter, the Painter Guild headquarters would definitely send someone to investigate if he were to go missing. Even though the Ji clan was one of the 3 great clans of Qianwu Royal City, it was impossible for them to withstand the Painter Guild's rage. Thus, Ji Mo Gongzi had already instructed the group that instead of killing Xianxia, they were to humiliate Xianxia and allow him to comprehend the meaning of a fate worse than death. Tailing behind Xianxia, it didn't take long for the group to leave the city. After walking for a distance, they soon arrived at a remote forest. Be careful, I think that lad has already noticed us, and he brought us here by intention. The leader said with a hushed voice. What do we have to fear? This is just what we wanted, we can let loose and teach him a lesson here. The rest of the group was unsuspecting. From their perspective, Xianxia was simply courting death. Despite knowing that there are people on his tail, he dared to come to such a secluded place. Isn't it obvious that he is tired of living? Huala. Drawing their weapons simultaneously, the few of them entered the forest. They were wondering if the fellow would conceal himself and wait secretly for them, when they suddenly caught sight of him lying opening on a tree branch, looking at them with a bright grin. Did Ji Mo send all of you here? Since there was no one here, Xianxia couldn't be bothered to beat around the bush. To him, they were just a few small fries. Move! Not expecting the young lad to face them so fearlessly, the leader harumphed coldly and gestured. I'll do it. The weakest of the group, a Tongxian realm intermediate stage cultivator, chuckled. Pushing forcefully against the ground, he leaped straight at Xianxia with amazing speed. Hualala! The human was airborne, the powerful Xianxia that he exuded causing the surrounding flora and fauna to bow before his presence, and sent sonic waves into the surroundings. This battle technique is not bad. Judging from his wholesome aura and the might of his leap, it seems that Zhongqing isn't too far off from reaching Tongxian realm advanced stage. The leader nodded. At the same time, he bellowed, control your strength, do not kill him. Don't worry, I know what I am doing. Zhongqing replied. He was still considering how much strength he should put into his fist when the vision before him blurred all of a sudden. Pa! With a crisp sound, a slap struck his face, and an excruciating pain assaulted his cheeks. Before Zhongqing could react, his entire body had twisted like a fried dough twist, and he flew several dozen meters away. Coughing up mouthfuls and mouthfuls of blood, a few of his teeth could be seen on the ground amidst red liquid. Ah! What? Initially, They thought that Zhongqing would be able to subdue the young lad easily. Yet, contrary to their expectations, he was sent flying with a single slap. The sight left the leader and the 3 remaining members stunned with astonishment. "I'm sorry. I've been cultivating by myself, and I haven't really fought with anyone. Thus, I accidentally put too much strength into my slap." Zhongxian scratched his head. Ever since he transcended into this world, he hadn't fought with anyone. Thus, he wasn't able to accurately gauge how much strength his slap would wield. He thought that it was just a gentle hit, and at the very most, the other party would just feel a slight sting. But, upon seeing how the other party was already on the verge of death, Zhongxian apologized immediately and sheepishly. "This fellow isn't as simple as we thought him out to be. Everyone, use your full strength." Seeing that Zhongxian was capable of exerting such great might easily, the leader's face turned pale immediately. Initially, he thought that the young master was making too big a deal out of nothing to send so many of them just to deal with an insignificant fellow. Nevertheless, they obeyed his order since it was just a simple mission. However, upon witnessing this situation, they realized that it wasn't as they thought. That young lad was definitely stronger than them. Possessing a strength exceeding Tongshen realm pinnacle under the age of 20, probably only the #1 genius Mo Hongyi is capable of rivaling him. Huala. The others weren't fools either. With a single glance, they recognized that the fellow was much stronger than they had expected. They held their swords tightly as they surrounded Zhongxian, each of them with a grim expression on their face. Of the 4, 2 were Tongshen realm advanced stage and the rest were Tongshen realm pinnacle. With their strength united, they exerted an imposing might, and the atmosphere seemed to have grown heavy all of a sudden. "Go!" Knowing that the other party was strong, the leader didn't hesitate and immediately ordered everyone to charge forward, in order to claim the initiative. Hua-la-la-la. For weapons stabbed out at them simultaneously. All 4 of them were guards of the Ji clan, and they had been living together for more than 5 years, so they possessed great teamwork. Driving their Xianxia, they struck at the same time with amazing speed, and their swords were aimed at each of Zhongxian's top, middle, and bottom, sealing all possible escape routes. With their outstanding coordination, coupled with powerful battle techniques, it would be difficult for even a half-Xianxia to deal with them. However, Zhongxian wasn't an ordinary half-Xianxia but could be considered an unparalleled genius. The 4 of them thought that they would be able to land at least a single strike on the young lad, but the moment they sent their swords out, they suddenly felt an emptiness in their palms. Looking downward, they realized that their ferocious assault had been completely neutralized. The swords in their hands were already in the other party's grasp unknowingly. "Ah!" The entire group was alarmed and they shrieked in fear. "The heck? This is too frightening." To be able to steal their swords with bare hands, it was no longer just a problem of the difference in their cultivation. The other party had to have a complete understanding of their battle techniques, strengths, their movements, and the position of their swords to be capable of achieving this feat with a single error. It could mean the loss of his fingers. Even a Xianxia realm pinnacle expert would be incapable of doing so. They thought that it would be a walk in the park to teach this young fellow a lesson. Yet, it turned out that what they were dealing with was a ferocious tiger. Retreat. Narrowing his eyes, the leader knew they would die if they continued to remain here. Thus, after yelling out a command, he turned around to escape immediately. Without any hesitation, the other 3 turned to flee as fast as they could as well. They had no choice but to ignore the convulsing fellow on the floor who was sent flying by Zhongxian with a slap. "We haven't even done anything, why are you in such a hurry?" They had yet to cross any blows, yet these fellows were already escaping. Speechless, Zhongxian beckoned. "Who?" Before the 4 could react, the view before them turned pitch black. A massive figure descended from the sky. Pada. As though they were struck by a small mountain, the 4 of them were blasted like a cannonball. The sight before them blurred, and they spurted large mouthfuls of blood. It is a half-Xizuan realm savage beast. It took them much difficulty before they could recover from their stupor. Squinting at the massive fellow, they nearly lost their minds. To think that it would be a half-Xizuan realm savage beast. Only the old ancestor of the Qianwu kingdom would possess the strength of a half-Xizuan. This beast can already be considered the most lethal weapon in Qianwu Kingdom. To think that the other party would possess such a tamed beast. What kind of monster did they exactly provoke? The howling firmament beast had been roaming around the forests and, upon hearing Zhong Xian's commands, rushed over immediately. In its eyes, these few fellows were mere ants. If it hadn't held back, these fellows would have been easily reduced to meat paste. After knocking the four away, before they could even land on the floor, the howling firmament beast's massive body shook once more. It dashed forward and struck them with its wing. Pada! 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 4 consecutive thuds sounded loudly in the silent forest. As they fell limply to the ground, fresh blood gushed from their mouths. Most of their bones seemed to have been fractured from the impact. The howling firmament beast had a half Zhizuan realm cultivation and, not to mention, savage beasts tend to be significantly stronger than cultivators with the same cultivation realm. With just a few light sweeps, it nearly shattered half of all the bones in their bodies and dissipated their Xianxia. Even with treatment, it was likely that they would remain crippled for life. I told you to go easy on them, didn't I? I still have questions to ask them. How in the world can I interrogate them when you have reduced them to such a state? Seeing how the howling firmament beast had crippled the 4 of them, Zhong Xian frowned. It would have been better if they did not hear him. Upon catching those words, the 4 of them twitched, and tears nearly spilled from their eyes. Brother, how can you be so thick-skinned as to criticize your savage beast? You were the one who attacked Zhongqing, and his state seems to be worse than ours. Until now, he is still puking blood, and his entire face has distorted under your slap. Even his mother wouldn't be able to recognize him now. If he isn't given treatment soon, losing his cultivation would be a small matter. He might not even survive tonight. Dealing such cruel blows yourself, how do you have the skin to criticize others? Woo! Who in the world told us that this would be a simple mission? Young master, come here. We promise that we won't beat you to death. Chapter 295, Acknowledge me as your teacher. Speak, is it Ji Mo who sent you here? After reprimanding the howling firmament beast, Zhong Xian turned to the leader of the group. Even though they were stubborn at the start, upon being forced to consume poison by Zhong Xian, they realized immediately that the person before them wasn't just a simple painter and cultivator. He was a poison master as well. Recalling the stories about poison masters that they heard of, the final line of defense in their minds crumbled. They disclosed everything that they knew. Ji Mo Gongzi told you not to kill me, but to strip me, hang me on the tree, and then record this down using a record crystal. Hearing the other party's motive, Zhong Xian became speechless. However, after giving the matter some thought, Zhong Xian realized why the other party would want to do so. Zhong Xian had become a 3-star painter, and if he were to be humiliated, he would probably keep silent for fear of embarrassing himself. On the other hand, if he were to be killed, the Painter Guild would definitely pursue the matter. Given that he had a recent dispute with Ji Mo, the latter would become the prime suspect. That would put the Ji Mo at risk of facing the Painter Guild's punishment. If it were just a 1-star or 2-star painter, the headquarter might not even be bothered to interfere. However, if a genius who managed to reach the level of a 3-star painter before 20 were to be killed, it was possible that they would destroy the Ji clan out of rage. On the other hand, if they were to humiliate Zhong Xian and use the record crystal to tape down his shameful demeanor, Ji Mo would gain a weapon against him. Even when he eventually discovers the culprit, in order to prevent the video from getting out, Zhong Xian wouldn't dare to confront the Ji clan. It must be said that even though Ji Mo Gongzi appeared to be a rash person, he had actually planned out the matter carefully in consideration of the consequences. However, it was a pity that he had underestimated Zhong Xian's cultivation, causing the 5 of them to land in such a pitiful state. Upon uncovering the other party's motive, Zhong Xian glanced to the 5 and gave each of them another kick. The poison that I fed you will act up within 5 days and it will corrode your organs, making you die in agony. Regardless of how you do it, strip Ji Mo Gongzi naked, hang him up on a tree and record a video using a record crystal. In return, I will give you the antidote to your poison. You don't have to dream about finding any other poison masters to treat you. The poison that I introduced into your body is my own secret concoction. Even a 3-star poison master would be helpless before it. An eye for an eye. Weren't you trying to embarrass me? Fine, I'll have these subordinates of yours give you a dose of your own medicine. Let's see what happens. As for the secret poison concoction that Xianxia used, it was actually just heaven's path Xianxia. However, it was true that no one could remove it except for him. With a single thought, Xianxia would be able to detonate the Xianxia, already hidden deep inside their acupoints, causing them to die on the spot. Thus, he wasn't lying. Yes, yes. Upon hearing about the poison that was planted in their bodies, their lips quivered in fear. Poison masters were feared throughout the continent, their methods sinister and terrifying. Offending any of them spelled certain doom. If only they knew that the person whom their young master sent them after was such a terrifying figure, they would have disobeyed his order and escaped from the city. They had never thought of rushing to their dooms just like that. Scram! After instructing them, Xianxia sent them away. Yes. Supporting each other, the 5 of them struggled to their feet and left the forest in a haste. The moment they returned back to the city, they glanced at one another with uncertainty. What should we do? The severely injured Zhongqing asked the others in a feeble voice. What else can we do? We can only obey his commands. At worst, we'll just leave Qianwu Kingdom after that, never to return. The leader gritted his teeth. They were all mercenaries who worked for the Ji clan in return for money and resources. Now that their lives were threatened, it was clear what was the most important. Besides, if not for Ji Mogong's willful nature, he wouldn't have offended such a formidable character, which eventually landed them in such a tragic state. Their hatred for this young master fella had long permeated their bones. We should discuss this matter carefully to see how we can accomplish his mission within 5 days. Having decided their next course of action, the 5 men pledged their brotherhood, before limping to find a suitable resting spot to treat their injuries. Ignoring the crippled 5, just as Xianxia was just about to return to the city to look for Qianwu Kingdom, he heard a ruckus in the mountain not too far away. There seemed to be a battle going on. I should go and take a look. Xianxia leaped onto the back of the howling firmament beast, and with a strong gust of wind, the savage beast soared into the skies and, under the cover of darkness, crept toward the source of the noise. Qianwu Inn. Are you saying that teacher took the painter examination just moments ago? Zhao Yue and the others stared at Lu Zun, their faces red with agitation. They had thought that their teacher would require another period of time before he could arrive at the kingdom. To think that he would get here earlier than them. I heard that from the personnel of the Painter Guild that a person named Xianxia had passed the examination to become a 3-star painter. As for whether he is senior uncle, I'm not too certain. Lu Zun said. After he passed the apprentice painter examination, he rushed back to the inn immediately to inform the group about the news he had. It must be him. For 2 people to possess the same name and, at the same time, be capable of painting a 5th-level art piece, is such coincidence even possible? Huang Yu said. She had personally witnessed Xianxia painting, and not only were his painting skills formidable, his speed was one to behold. She didn't think that it was impossible for him to use a savage beast to produce a 5th-level painting. Since teacher took the painter examination less than 2 hours ago, he should still be nearby. Let's search around, perhaps we may be able to find him. I agree, I want to look for teacher as well. Hearing that their teacher was in the vicinity, Zhao Yue and the others couldn't remain seated. All right, let's check the area and meet back here in 4 hours then. Understanding their feelings, Liu Xia found it hard to reject them. Thus, he issued his instruction. All right. Unable to remain still any further, Zhao Yue and the others dashed out upon hearing the elder's command. Hong hong hong. Xianxia filled the air and shock waves ravaged the surroundings. A human and a beast was engaged in an intense battle. A Xianxia realm cultivator against a Xianxia realm savage beast. Standing on the back of the howling firmament beast, Xianxia observed the battle from above and felt somewhat astonished. A Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivator was actually battling a Xianxia realm advanced stage crimson tiger. The crimson tiger's physique greatly resembled the gold-alloyed panther that Xianxia tamed previously. Not only did it possess tough fur and skin, it also wielded tremendous strength in its compact body. This crimson tiger was clearly much stronger than the gold-alloyed panther. Every single claw and kick seemed to rip air apart. Under the devastating force from both human and beast, trees were torn into pieces while boulders were smashed into fragments. Even though the Crimson Tiger was only at Xianxia realm advanced stage, its physical advantages allowed it to match up against cultivators stronger than it. The Xianxia realm pinnacle seemed to possess multiple incredible methods, but he was unable to overcome the Crimson Tiger's defense. In a mere few moments, they had already crossed blows numerous times, but none of them was able to get the better of the other. Bang, 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 bang. After a few more blows, upon realizing that there would be no conclusion to this battle, the Crimson Tiger shook its thick tail, turned around, and left. Seeing it disappear into the distance, the Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivator heaved a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to leave, his eyes narrowed suddenly, and he lifted his head to look at the howling firmament beast which was airborne. It was already late into the night, but the howling firmament beast wasn't flying too far off the surface and was visible to the naked eye. Back then, the cultivator's attention had been completely taken by the battle with the Crimson Tiger, so he failed to notice its presence. However, now that the battle had ended, if he still were to be unable to notice that powerful presence lingering above him, he should really jump off a building. May I know which elder it is? I hope to seek your understanding for being unable to welcome you. The cultivator clasped his fist respectfully and in a hurry. Since the other party was able to tame a half-Xizuan savage beast, he was probably a Xizuan realm expert. Even though he possessed a Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivation, he didn't dare to act impertinently before the other party. Elder. Right after the battle, Xianxia was about to leave when he was noticed by the cultivator below. Hearing his words, a thought suddenly surfaced in his mind. That's right, I am looking for a student to make him feel grateful toward me. Since this fellow thinks of me as his elder, I can make use of this opportunity to hoodwink him. Perhaps this might work out. Xianxia was getting frustrated over where he could find a student when this fellow appeared out of nowhere. Thus, he decided to give it a try. However, my current appearance is too young. He will definitely question my abilities if he sees my face. I should assume Xianxia's appearance. Thus, making use of his disguise ability, Xianxia's bones and muscles shifted to model Xianxia. In any way, he was on the howling firmament beast, and it was late at night. Even though the other party had noticed his presence, he was unable to see his appearance clearly. Who? Upon command, the howling firmament beast slowly descended to the ground. Landing on the ground surface, Xianxia could see that the Xianxia realm pinnacle cultivator was a spirited, middle-aged man dressed in tight clothes. With prior experience from passing off as Xianxia was able to get into character easily. Standing atop the firmament howling beast, Xianxia placed his hands behind his back, and then with a completely calm expression, he replied, "There's no need to worry, I'm just passing by this area. I happened to see you battling with the Crimson Tiger, so I stopped for a moment to observe the fight. Are you trying to tame it?" There were many ways to tame savage beasts, and pleasing them was just one method. Battling them was another. Even though the beast and the human had fought ferociously, if they were to truly get serious, they should have been bleeding by now. Given that this middle-aged cultivator allowed the Crimson Tiger to leave freely, it was highly probable that he was trying to tame it. Furthermore, judging from their battle, they seemed to have some understanding of each other's techniques. It was most likely that that wasn't the first battle between them. You're right, Elder. I do intend to tame it. The middle-aged man clasped his fist in response. He had tried to examine the other party, but he realized that he wasn't able to detect any signs of his cultivation at all. To be capable of this feat, the other party's Xianxia must either be purer than his or that his cultivation far surpassed his. Given that the other party possessed a half-Xizuan howling firmament beast as a tamed beast, and that he was unable to see through his cultivation, the elder before him was at minimum a Xizuan realm expert. Coming to this conclusion, the middle-aged cultivator's attitude grew even more respectful. The Crimson Tiger is the king of the forest, and taming it is no easy task. It is impossible to do so through a few mere battles. Xianxia spoke casually. Even though Xianxia might not have heard of rarer savage beasts just as the lava beast, as a 2-star beast tamer, he nevertheless knew quite a bit about the Crimson Tiger. The Crimson Tiger is the king of the forest, and upon maturity, it would possess the strength of a Xianxia realm pinnacle. Given that this Crimson Tiger was only at Xianxia realm advanced stage, it had yet to reach maturity. Such savage beasts, who are powerful from birth, rarely submit to anyone. The chances of taming it with just a few fights is extremely low. I understand that as well, but I can't help my greed. The middle-aged man flashed a bitter smile. He knew that it was too difficult to tame this Crimson Tiger. However, when he thought about the benefits taming it could bring him, he found himself unable to suppress his desire. I can impart to you the way of taming it, Xianxia said. Is Elder willing to teach me? The middle-aged man was feeling distressed over this matter when the other party spoke these words. Narrowing his eyes, his face grew slightly red in agitation. Elder, may I ask if there's anything you need help with? As long as it is within my abilities, I won't speak a single word of complaint. Knowing that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world, even though the middle-aged cultivator was thrilled by the idea, he didn't allow it to consume his rationality. I've nothing that requires your help, and given your cultivation realm, you won't find it worth to be used by me. However, I can't allow my techniques to be leaked. Since it's fate that brought us together, I'll teach you the method, but you'll have to acknowledge me as your teacher. Xianxia glanced at the other party. Acknowledge you as my teacher. The middle-aged cultivator had thought of the countless different requests that the other party could come up with, but even so, Xianxia's words caught him by surprise, and for a moment, he became dumbfounded. Chapter 296. Student Xianxia. He had heard of experts injuring others because of a mere disagreement and had also heard of experts breaking societal conventions. But he had never heard of experts going around accepting random strangers as students. The middle-aged man blinked his eyes. The ability to achieve Xianxia realm pinnacle bore testimony to his talents, but he was also aware that he was a far cry from true geniuses. He wasn't a genius, yet the other party, without thinking twice, offered to accept him as his disciple. What in the world is going on? That's right. Are you bewildered why I would accept you as my student? Xianxia shook his hands casually. With profound intent and composure reflecting in his eyes, he spoke. Your talent isn't top-notch and your cultivation isn't anything. Therefore, there should be no reason for me to have taken a fancy to you, right? Having his thoughts verbalized, the middle-aged cultivator smiled awkwardly. I watched your battle with the Crimson Tiger. You complemented the verdant stream movement technique with Hong Yang Fist. Even though it's quite a good combo, you are unable to display the full might of these skills. If I'm not wrong, the Hong Yang Fist which you practice is incomplete. Xianxia said, as a matter of factly. Elder, how did you know? The middle-aged man's face warped in shock immediately. The verdant stream movement technique was a famous movement technique in Qianwu Kingdom, so it wasn't surprising that the other party knew it. However, Hong Yang Fist was his exclusive technique. He happened to stumble upon the grave of a Zhizuan expert inside a valley during his travels and, in it, he found the Hong Yang Fist secret manual. The fist technique was created by an elder named Hong Yang. The technique allows the user to exert an immense force that is capable of breaking through even a savage beast's resilient defense. Even though the secret manual left in the grave of the expert was an incomplete version, after practicing the technique for many years, the middle-aged cultivator had already mastered it, and he had since always regarded it as his trump card in times of danger. During the battle with the Crimson Tiger, he executed the technique with the intention of brushing up his skills. Never in his dreams did he expect that this elder would be able to recognize it in a single glance. Xianxia didn't reply his question. Rather, he continued impassively. The Hong Yang Fist emphasizes heavily on brute force through huge motions. If you practiced just this battle technique, even though it is incomplete, there wouldn't be any adverse side effects. However, you cultivated the three-kun fist along with it. The main concept behind the idea is a burst of strength within 3 kun of space. The idea of huge motions and explosive strength is at odds with each other. If I'm not wrong, you should have some stubborn ailments on you. The middle-aged man shuddered in astonishment and hurriedly clasped his fist out of respect. Elder, you're right. The very first battle technique that he ever practiced was the 3 kun fist. Subsequently, when he encountered the Hong Yang Fist, He knew that it was likely that the two techniques would be in conflict, but was unwilling to allow such a powerful fist technique pass him by. Thus, he chose to practice it forcefully. He thought that given his identity, he would be able to solve all possible traumas easily. But who knew that the more he cultivated the technique, the greater the damage to his body was. Especially in the recent few years, he could already sense that his stamina was far lacking as compared to before. This was precisely the reason why he wanted to tame this young crimson tiger. If anything happened to him, he could still ensure the safety of his kins. As a master teacher, despite knowing that there is a conflict between both fist techniques, you chose to go ahead and practice it, damaging your own body. Foolish. Xianxia spoke sharply. Elder, you know that I'm a master teacher. The middle-aged man stared at Xianxia in disbelief. In the previous battle, he had utilized both the Hongyang fist and three-kun fist, thus it wasn't surprising for the other party to be able to tell that much. However, he wasn't dressed in the master teacher robe and didn't don the emblem either. How did the other party know that he was a master teacher? He didn't say anything that would have betrayed his identity. When you fought with the Crimson Tiger, you were able to predict and avoid the other party's lethal blows. Even though this is partly due to the numerous fights with it which resulted in familiarity with each other's techniques, the fact you were able to exploit the other party's weaknesses to launch counterattacks precisely every single time proves that you are a master teacher. Xianxia said. Master teachers possess the state of insight, which allows them to peer into the flaws and weaknesses of each battle technique. It is through such that they are able to pinpoint problems and their causes and steer their students to the right path. This is also the reason why master teachers are the strongest among cultivators of the same realm. In the battle just now, the middle-aged cultivator was able to strike a good balance between offense and defense. Despite facing a ferocious savage beast, he was able to remain calm, and every single move he made was purposeful. Any cultivator could have easily sensed that something was amiss. Furthermore, when he fought with the Crimson Tiger previously, he had executed several battle techniques. As such, a book on him had been compiled in the Library of Heaven's Path. Elder, your eye of discernment is incredible. The middle-aged man contemplated for a brief moment and suddenly, his eyes lit up. Can it be that, is Elder a master teacher as well? Other than a master teacher, he couldn't think of anyone else who would be capable of discerning the battle technique he practiced, deduce that there was a problem with his body, and even identify his occupation. As Xianxia placed his hands behind his back, a mountainous breeze tugged on his robe, creating an impression reminiscent of a saint. I spend my time traveling around the world, and it has been years since someone last addressed me by that title. As expected, Elder is a master teacher. Hearing the other party's words, the middle-aged man's eyes shone in agitation. The fact that the other party was at least a Xizuan realm cultivator and that his discernment ability far surpassed his meant that he was at least a 3-star master teacher. If he was a master teacher, he could understand why the other party would request him to become his student although they had just met. Master teachers bear the responsibility of educating the masses. Upon meeting the puzzled, they are to answer their doubts. This is precisely the reason why the human race was able to prosper throughout the entire land. It was the reason why master teachers became an occupation respected by the masses. The hierarchy among master teachers was strict. It was normal for a low-tier master teacher to address a high-tier master teacher as teacher, and there weren't rules against acknowledging a fellow master teacher as one's teacher. More importantly, given how the other party was able to see through his problems in a single glance, and that he could help him tame the Crimson Tiger, it would be nothing but advantageous for him to become his student. It's my honor to become Elder's student. Holding back his agitation, he hastily replied with a reddened face. Do you not doubt me anymore? Xianxia asked. I dare not to. The middle-aged man quickly nodded his head. Given the other party's indiscernible cultivation realm, half Xizuan tamed beast, and incredible discernment ability, even if the other party were to now claim that he wasn't a master teacher, he would definitely not believe it. The Crimson Tiger that you fought with has yet to mature, and his strength hasn't reached its peak yet. If you can find a way to raise its cultivation to Xianxia realm pinnacle, it won't be difficult for you to tame it. Now that the other party was convinced of his identity as a master teacher, the rest was easy to accomplish. Without further ado, Xianxia began to toss out the benefits. I know that as well, and I've tried. However, I couldn't find anything that can raise its cultivation. The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment before answering. Master teachers are expected to be knowledgeable in all occupations, and the middle-aged cultivator dabbled in beast taming, so he knew that he would have to offer some incentive to tame the other party. However, he had experimented numerous methods, but wasn't able to find anything which could help this crimson tiger achieve a breakthrough. After all, the savage beast's strength was shackled to its age. There are no herbs in this world that can raise one's age. Even if such a herb did exist, that would be equivalent to pulling on a seedling for it to grow taller. If the crimson tiger were to learn of it, it would definitely feel a resentment toward him, and by then, it would be impossible for him to tame it. Do you have any pills on you? Xianxia asked impassively. I do. I have a few pills for injuries. Not knowing the intention behind the question, the middle-aged cultivator hesitated for a moment before replying. Pass it to me. Xianxia stretched out his hand. Yes. Even though he didn't understand why the other party wanted his pills, he didn't hesitate at all. With a flick of his wrist, a jade bottle appeared in his palm. With a light toss, the pill rode on his Xianxia and floated slowly to Xianxia. Even though his actions were simple, it displayed the amazing control he had over his Xianxia. Xianxia was astonished by the other party's feat but hid his expression well. Grabbing the jade bottle, he opened it casually and saw 10 smooth, round pills within. Every single one of the pills had reached grade 2. Every single grade 2 pill was worth an exponential sum, and the entire bottle of pills was likely to be worth more than 10 million. Probably, only a master teacher would bring such a bottle around with him and throw it so casually. Pouring these pills onto his palm, he started to infuse the pure Heaven's Path Xianxia into them. Then, he crushed the 10 pills to form one large pill. The only way for an immature savage beast to achieve a breakthrough was the bloodline evolution. Xianxia didn't know what medicine was capable of inducing a bloodline evolution in a crimson tiger, but he knew that his Heaven's Path Xianxia could. The crimson tiger was at Xianxia realm advanced stage, while Xianxia was a step away from reaching Xianxia realm. Thus, his Heaven's Path Xianxia should still be highly effective in inducing a bloodline evolution in the former. However, the Heaven's Path Xianxia was too pure, and the other party was a master teacher who also possessed incredible discernment ability. If he were to help the crimson tiger achieve a breakthrough directly, it was possible that the other party might notice something suspicious. If so, his efforts in disguising as an expert would have been in vain. Furthermore, if Xianxia wanted to infuse Heaven's Path Xianxia straight into the other party's meridians, he had to ensure that the other party would not retaliate. Be it his own strength or the middle-aged cultivator's strength, it was impossible for them to knock the crimson tiger out. Thus, even if he wanted to do so, it was unfeasible. As such, he chose to pump his Xianxia into the pills instead. As soon as the pills dissolve within the crimson tiger's body, the Heaven's Path Xianxia would permeate into its body. As it circulated along its bloodstream, it would cleanse its bloodline, thus inducing in the savage beast a bloodline evolution. However, the method was exceptionally wasteful on pills. The higher the grade of a pill, the more Xianxia it could hold. In just a short moment, 10 million gold coin worth of pills went to waste. But of course, to Xianxia, it made no difference whatsoever. The pills didn't belong to him. Furthermore, 10 million gold coins for a tamed Xianxia realm pinnacle savage beast. This was an extremely good deal. Alright, I've modified the pill a little. Once you feed it to the crimson tiger, it would be able to break through its current cultivation realm immediately. As for how you'll make it submit to you afterward, that would depend on your skills. With a flick, the pill shot straight back at the middle-aged man. He didn't possess the other party's control over Xianxia, so he could only use this crude method. Yes. The middle-aged cultivator grabbed the pill but found it hard to believe the other party's words. He had bought these recovery pills from the apothecary guild and knew that there was nothing unique about them. All the elder did was to grab the pills for a moment and then knead all 10 of them into a large pill. Is just this sufficient for the crimson tiger to achieve a breakthrough? Why does it sound so unreliable? Find the crimson tiger and feed this to it now. Xianxia didn't bother to explain. Yes. Even though the middle-aged cultivator held doubts, he didn't think that the other party would lie to him. After all, as a 3-star master teacher and a Zhizuan realm expert, there was no need for him to go through so much trouble. Thus, as he nodded his head, he kept the pill properly and dashed in the direction where the Crimson Tiger escaped. Instead of following him, Xianxia waited calmly on the back of the howling firmament beast. Around 2 hours later, a violent roar sounded. Then, the middle-aged cultivator could be seen returning on the Crimson Tiger's back. This time, without any hesitation, he leaped off the back of the tiger and kneeled to the floor. Student Xianxia pays respect to teacher. Chapter 297, Taking Liberties with Zhao. He saw that the Crimson Tiger, which hovered about the middle-aged Xianxia, had indeed reached Xianxia realm pinnacle. Knowing that the other party had successfully tamed the savage beast, Xianxia nodded his head in satisfaction. He turned to Xianxia and spoke in an indifferent manner. This teacher of yours is called Xianxia, and I just happened to pass by Qianwu Kingdom and decided to stay here for a while. During this period of time, you'll be considered as my student, but after my departure, I'll remain as myself, and you'll remain as yourself. After all, we're just mere passerbys in each other's life. However, you are not to use my name to conduct villainous acts, otherwise, I will kill you. Zhongxian's motive for accepting this student was to form the Golden Page. Naturally, he couldn't bring him around and, thus, decided to make things clear beforehand. Yes. Xianxia nodded as a tinge of disappointment crept onto his face. Earlier, when the other party said that he would take him as a student, even though he didn't outright decline, he felt resistant to the idea. However, when he fed that pill to the Crimson Tiger and the latter really achieved a breakthrough, he realized that it was his fortune to be able to come under the tutelage of the other party. Just by needing an ordinary recovery pill, the other party was able to turn it into a treasure that would help savage beasts achieve a breakthrough. Despite the vast knowledge he possessed as a master teacher, he had never heard of such a matter. Just this feat alone allowed Xianxia to realize that the person before him wasn't likely to be simply a 3-star master teacher. May I know where does teacher live? So that in time to come, I may pay my respect. Even if it were just for a short period, becoming Xianxia's student was a huge advantage. Xianxia clasped his fist, hiding his disappointment. I do not have a definite abode as of now. Once I find one, I will send someone to inform you. Zhongxian waved his hands casually. All right, you should return first. To induce gratitude in another person and form the Golden Page wasn't something that could be done all of a sudden. Zhongxian was already making great progress, having collected the other party as his student and establishing trust. If he were rush into things, he might just mess it up instead. Yes. Knowing that experts have their own way of doing things, Xianxia didn't dare to inquire any further. After leaping onto the Crimson Tiger, he turned around and left. Who? After the other party left, Zhongxian heaved a sigh of relief. It was troublesome to act as an expert before a master teacher. After all, master teachers possessed incredible abilities of discernment. A single lapse in his disguise could have resulted in failure. Right. I forgot to ask him where Qianwu Academy is. Zhongxian had intended to ask about the location of Qianwu Academy so that he could gather a few more students to groom in one go, but he ended up forgetting about this matter. His only choice was to return to the city to look around. Soon, he was once again back in the capital. This time round, with no one stalking him, he was able to conduct his inquiries freely. Qianwu Academy was where the talents of the capital were gathered, hence nearly everyone knew about it. Thus, it didn't take long before he found out about its approximate location. It was actually in the vicinity of the Master Teacher Pavilion, near the center of the city. To travel there by foot would take 3 to 4 hours. Upon hearing that it was so far away, Zhongxian dropped his plan of finding a student today. When he first arrived at Qianwu Kingdom, the sun had already set. Eating dinner, competing with Ji Mo, and reading books had taken up more than 2 hours of his time and, after which, he dealt with assassins and accepted Xianxia as his student, taking up another 2 hours of his time. With reference to the time system used in his previous life, it was already nearing 11 o'clock. Even if he were to rush over now, everyone would have been asleep by the time he arrived. If he were to sneak into the academy compounds in the middle of the night to solicit some students, others might just think that he was some corpse who had climbed out from his grave and bury him back in. I leave this for tomorrow. For the time being, I'd better look for a place to rest for the night. After a long journey here, as well as the painter competition, fighting, and feigning as an expert, he had long been drained of energy.
Yuan? Tianwu Inn?
All right, I'll stay here. After looking around the streets for a short while, an inn appeared before Xianxia and he walked right in. The inn was wide and clean, and after finding out at the receptionist that there was an empty room available, he then chose to settle down here. The moment he stepped into the room, a few figures rushed into the lounge. Is Zhao Wai not back yet? Yes, Liu Shi. Wang Ying replied apprehensively. Didn't I instruct all of you to return in 2 hours regardless of whether you managed to find him? Why is she not back? Liu Shi frowned. All of us split up the moment we left. We didn't see her on our way back in, so we thought that she had already returned to her room. We then waited for her, but she didn't come out after such a long time. Wang Ying replied fearfully. All right. Lu Zun, bring Xingyang to look around the east. Sun Qiong, you bring Liu Yang and Yuan Dao to search the west. Wang Ying, Huang Yu, and I go to the north. As for the south, that's where the city gates are, so there's no need to look around there. Liu Shi instructed. Regardless of your outcome, just like the last time, all of you must return within 2 hours. Yes. Everyone nodded their heads before proceeding out of the inn. Physician Bai had been on a roll lately. Ever since he returned from Red Lotus Range, all the physicians that he met treated him with utmost respect and deference. In fact, even the guild leader of the Physician Guild had a complete change in attitude. From an insignificant snub figure, he was now the center of attention. All of those haughty 2-star physicians from before didn't even dare to speak loudly before him. He was getting increasingly happy and increasingly satisfied with his new life. To think that getting knocked out in an alley would reap such benefits. Today, the guild leader even proclaimed him as his brother and drank with him. By the time he left and was back on the streets, he was already feeling very groggy. The turning point in his life came from being knocked unconscious in the Red Lotus City. After waking up, the attitude that all the physicians had toward him changed. He had even thought that he was dreaming. But of course, in the past few days, he had managed to understand the situation fully. That fellow from that day, who appeared together with Princess Mo Yu, knocked him out and saved the great Herb King in his appearance and name. The reason why these physicians were behaving so friendly to him was first, to be able to purchase good medicinal herb from the great Herb King through him at a discounted price, and secondly, to find out what the contract GU actually was, and how it could be treated. He was unconscious and naked in an alley throughout the entire incident. So how could he know the great Herb King? Needless to say, the contract GU. However, this change in his life didn't come easy. He had become so highly regarded and it would be embarrassing if he were to speak the truth. Wouldn't it be likely that he would get beaten to death? Thus, after contemplating carefully, he decided to carry on with the lie. Whenever someone asked him about the incident with the great Herb King, he would change the topic forcefully. Since he was unwilling to speak, the crowd assumed that some kind of important secret was involved, so they didn't dare to continue asking. Thus, his status grew instead. This outcome left him thrilled. Every time he saw an alley, he would dive in expectantly in hopes that he would be knocked out again so as to gain greater prestige. After bidding the guild leader farewell, he was on his way back to his residence all alone. Upon noticing an alley, he was just about to enter when he saw a lady walking toward him from the opposite direction. The lady was young, her age between 16 and 17, but her facial features were extraordinarily beautiful. Even Princess Mo Yu, who was reputed as the #1 beauty of Qianwu Kingdom, wasn't a match for her. He had never met such a beautiful person in his life. He had a reputation for being lecherous, and that was the main reason why Mo Yu disregarded him then. Having pretended to be an expert for such a long time, he had already begun to feel deprived. Upon confirming that there was no one around, as well as the under the influence of alcohol, his eyes started to glow. Knowing that Zhong Laoshe appeared in the Painter Guild, Zhao Ya and the others left the inn to look for him. For greater efficiency, All of them split up to search alone. They looked around the surrounding alleys and taverns, but there wasn't a single sign of him. Having just completed searching this alley, Zhao Wei was rubbing her rather exhausted eyes, intending to return to the inn before doing anything else when she saw a middle-aged man with a lustful look on his face approaching her. Drinking alone is boring. Lady, do you want to accompany me for a drink? Physician Bai blocked her path. Get out of my way. Zhao Wei frowned. After her pure yin body was activated, her appearance and disposition had become more refined. Thus, she would often meet with this kind of harassment, just that they mostly came from those of her age. Yet, upon seeing a person who was old enough to be her grandfather appearing before her, her expression became especially awful. What if I refuse? Physician Bai Chan harumphed. It was already close to midnight, and the bustling streets were nearly empty. Furthermore, even if there were anyone around the area, they would be hesitant to stop him once they notice his extravagant clothes. You're courting death. Seeing how the other fellow was behaving like a rogue, Zhao Wei's eyebrows knitted together. With a flick of her wrist, a sword appeared in her palm. Circulating her pure yin body fully, a frigid sword chi immediately was sent straight at the fellow before her. You don't know what's good for you. Seeing how Zhao Wei dared to swing her sword at him, Physician Bai Chan harumphed coldly before stepping forward. Ding! Zhao Wei's sword fell into the other party's hand. Even though Physician Bai Chan was someone whom Zhongxian could knock out with a single punch, he was after all a Tongxian realm pinnacle expert. He wasn't someone that Zhao Wei, who had only opened 2 acupoints, could stand against. This is bad. Having her sword taken from her, Zhao Wei was astonished. She could tell that with her cultivation, it was impossible for her to handle this person. Thus, she dashed straight toward the inn immediately. With the awakening of her pure yin body, even though she didn't become as fast as Wang Ying, her speed was incredible, nevertheless. She wasn't far from the inn, and once she was there, Liu Shi would surely be able to deal with this rogue. Trying to escape? Do you think that I will allow you to do that? It wasn't easy for him to come across such a beauty, so how could Bai Chan allow her to escape so easily? Thus, he chased after her hastily. Zhao Wei. Sprinting with all her might, Zhao Wei soon arrived at the lounge of the inn and encountered Liu Shi and the others, who were just about to set off. What's wrong? What happened? Seeing her charge into the lounge anxiously, everyone became perplexed. Someone tried to take advantage of me. Zhao Wei pointed to the back. At that moment, Physician Bai Chan walked into the lounge as well. What? Upon hearing that someone wanted to take advantage of her, Xingyang and the others flew into a rage and prepared to charge at Physician Bai Chan. Hold your horses. Seeing through the other party's cultivation in a single glance, Liu Shi halted them immediately. Upon seeing the people present, a gleam flashed across Physician Bai Chan's eyes. It's no wonder why you escaped so quickly. You have backups here. If so, this will make the matter much easier. As a cunning old wily, he had experienced such situations innumerable times, so he was able to react immediately without panicking. This friend, may I know why you are chasing my student? He knew that Qianwu Royal City had many powerful and influential clans and that members of these clans were everywhere and could be anyone on the street. Therefore, even though he felt angry, Liu Shi held himself back, stepped forward, and clasped his fist. This young lady stole my item, so I chased her to take it back. Since you all know one another, this will make this matter easier to settle. You either can choose to return my item, or leave her for me to deal with. Physician Bai Chan spoke, casually gesturing with his hand. Stole your item? You're lying. Not expecting that the other party would frame her as a thief after trying to take liberties with her, Zhao Wei's face flushed in anger. Sword Chi. This refers to a visible wave of energy from the might of a sword swing. Chapter 298. Framed. May I know what it is that you have lost? How could Liu Shi not tell that the other party was lying? Hearing the other party's words, his eyebrows knitted together into a frown. I lost a stalk of precious medicinal herb. Physician Bai Chan had been used to carrying out this scam, so he continued calmly, hand it over now, or else I will report all of you and have you jailed. Liu Shi, I didn't take his things. He's slandering me.
Zhao Huaye explained hurriedly.
Indeed, Xianxia. Zhao Huaye's father is the city lord of Bayou City, and she has everything she needs. It isn't possible that she resorts to stealing. Zhong Laoxia is an apothecary. There is no need at all for her to steal. Xianxia and the others stepped forward. Having spent so much time together, all of them naturally placed their trust in Zhao Huaye's character. How could she possibly steal the belongings of this shabby middle-aged man?
UN.
Xianxia held his hand up to silence everyone, before raising his head to look at the other party. I am Beiwu Kingdom's one-star master teacher, Liu Ling. These are my students whom I have brought along, and there seems to be a misunderstanding. After which, he flicked his hands and a token representing his identity as a master teacher appeared in his palm. One-star master teacher. Physician Bai Chan was taken aback. Master teachers possess an extremely high standing in Qianwu Royal City, and with them both having a one-star grade in their respective occupations, he was far beyond what a mere physician could compare up to. However, the truly prestigious ones in Qianwu Royal City were the two-star master teachers. Furthermore, as a veteran in the city, he didn't fear a mere outsider. So what if he was a master teacher? As long as the other party didn't come from Qianwu Royal City, he had 10,000 ways to silence him. At the same time, he recalled how respectful the other one-star physicians were to him recently, and his pride immediately swelled. With a darkened face, he said, "Misunderstanding? Even the guild leader of the physician guild treats me respectfully, and you say that I framed your little student. That's not what I meant." Xianxia didn't expect the other party to disregard his identity, so he quickly explained himself. In Xianxia Kingdom and Beiwu Kingdom, no one would have dared to offend a one-star master teacher. However, in a Tier 1 kingdom like Qianwu, the standing of master teachers took a dive. Some of the powerful clans even raised master teachers of their own. This was precisely why, even though the identity of a master teacher could induce fear in most people, those who had truly strong backings wouldn't care too much about it. Unless the person was a two-star master teacher. With the master teacher pavilion behind his back, Xianxia wasn't worried that anyone would do anything to him. However, Zhao Huaye and the others were different. He didn't have many connections here, and if this matter wasn't resolved properly, it could potentially bring about a lot of trouble. If the other party tried to be shameless, it might even affect his reputation as a master teacher. If that's not what you meant, then what do you mean? Your student stole my possession, and I have already chased her all the way here. Do you mean to say that I chased her for nothing? Physician Bai flung his hands imposingly. He knew what the other party was afraid of, and this boosted his courage. Masters, what's wrong? Because both sides were speaking loudly, their quarrel caught the attention of the boss of Qianwu Inn. These customers of yours have stolen my possession. What do you think that we should do? Physician Bai Chan pulled out a chair and sat down. This. The boss panicked. Before he came over, an attendant had already informed him of the situation. On one side was a one-star master teacher, and on the other was the prominent physician Bai Chan. He couldn't afford to offend any of them. I shall not make things difficult for you. Since you can't settle this, let's just invite a patrol squad in. Lifting his eyelids slightly, physician Bai Chan felt confident. A master teacher that hailed from a small place such as Beiwu Kingdom, there wasn't a reason to feel fear. Yes, yes. The boss heaved a sigh of relief. He gestured to the attendant in a hurry, who then ran out hastily. Qianwu Royal City was huge, and there were all kinds of fights and conflicts every day. Only by resolving them in a timely manner could order be maintained. Thus, the royal family formed patrol squads to uphold the peace within the city. In case of trouble, one could inform and invite them over. That. May I know what kind of medicinal herb did you lose? It's not convenient to alarm a patrol squad at this time of the night. Why don't we settle this matter privately? Upon hearing the other party mention calling for a patrol squad, Xianxia chose to give in. It was a major disadvantage being in the other party's territory, it being likely that the patrol squad would side with the opponent. If they pronounced that Zhao Huaye stole the other party's possession, she would have to go through all kinds of interrogation and investigation. If it were just him, he wouldn't have feared the other party. Without the master-teacher pavilion's approval, no one would dare to capture a master-teacher. However, Zhao Yue and the others came from the humble Xianxia kingdom, and they didn't possess any formidable background. The moment investigation began, it was likely that it would drag on for months. Furthermore, once they were thrown into the jail, wouldn't the other party would gain the power to twist their words? His senior had entrusted these students to him. If they were to be locked up, how could he account to his senior? Thus, he chose to settle this matter peacefully in order to avoid trouble. What medicinal herb did I lose? Since you want to know, I'll tell you then. I lost a 1,000-year-old green steel flower. It is worth at least 10 million gold coins. I'm fine with settling it privately. You can choose to either pay me 10 million gold coins or hand this girl over to me. Physician Bai Chan looked at them gleefully. Small matter. So you wish to settle this privately now? Let's see how I play with you. You. Bullshit. How dare you frame me? Zhao Yue didn't expect the other party to be so shameless. Her face turned scarlet in anger, and her breathing hastened. Xianxia and the others clenched their fists as well. A 1,000-year-old green steel flower. Liu Shi's expression turned awful too. As a master teacher, although he didn't specialize in medicine, he had heard of the green steel flower. Those which had grown to reach a maturity of 1,000 years were extremely valuable, and even with 10 million gold coins, one might not necessarily be able to purchase one. Given his many years of savings, he did have 10 million gold coins. However, anyone, even him, would find it hard to accept to being scammed of so much money all of the sudden. That's right. Physician Bai Chan's finger drummed on the table. Lifting his eyelids slightly, he said, right after bumping into your student, the medicinal herb which I just bought went missing. If it isn't her who is responsible, who else can it be? You can either pay me the money or hand her over for me to interrogate. Otherwise, I shall publicize this matter, claiming that you turn a blind eye to your student's misdeed. Let's see how the master-teacher pavilion deals with you. Pouring a cup of water for himself as he spoke, he glanced at Liu Shi gleefully. This. Liu Shi's was livid. The other party seemed to be clear of a master-teacher's weakness. All master-teachers valued their own reputation. If he were to be framed of condoning his students' misdeeds, how will he be able to take the 2-star examination in future? How will he face the world? Hualala. The entire room was silent when a group of men arrived. The attendant had returned with a patrol squad. All of them had a Pishua realm cultivation at the minimum, and the one standing at the forefront was a Tongxian realm expert. They were dressed fully in steel and carried swords in their hands, appearing to be a cold-blooded bunch. Paying respect to Physician Bai Chan. Upon stepping into the lounge, the members of the patrol squad glanced around the room and recognized Bai Chan immediately. They walked forward and clasped their fists. To name the persons who were the most prominent in the capital recently, without a doubt, the first place would go to 3rd Princess Mo Yu, and after which, the second place would go to this person before them. It was said that he cured an illness which even 3-star physicians were incapable of treating. If so, his ability must have far surpassed a 3-star grade, just that he was unable to take the examination due to his lacking cultivation. Oh, it's Squadron Leader Yao. With a brief look, Bai Chan recognized the other party as well. He waved his hands grandly and proclaimed, since it's you, this will make things easier. This girl stole the medicinal herb which the great herb king just gave me, a 1,000-year-old green steel flower. What do you say about how we should handle this? The great herb king. Squadron leader Yao's complexion changed. The great herb king was an extremely famous person in the capital. He represented the Poison Hall and, as a result, could almost be considered an overlord in the Red Lotus city, such that even the Qianwu royal family dare not deploy troops against him. If the great herb king gave him a medicinal herb personally, it appeared that the rumors were true. He had to deal with this matter prudently. Audacious! How dare you steal Physician Bai Chan's medicinal herb? Harumphing coldly, Squadron Leader Yao walked over to Liu Shi. This master teacher here, in respect for your identity, I will not make a move on you. So, hand over your student so that I can interrogate her. Rest assured, the patrol squads are impartial, and if she is innocent, I will do her justice. However, if she really stole something, even if you are a master teacher, we won't hesitate to raise this to the master teacher pavilion. Please calm down, we are willing to settle this matter in private. Seeing how the both of them were acquainted, Xianxia knew that Zhao Wei would surely be deemed as a thief if she were to be captured. Thus, after taking a deep breath, he decided to give in. Xianxia, you mustn't. Zhao Wei didn't steal anything, why should we settle this matter privately? That's right, Xianxia. The moment we choose to settle this matter privately, it would mean that Zhao Wei had taken his item. This will be harmful to teacher's reputation. Hearing that Xianxia intended to settle the matter privately, Zhengyang, Lu Zun, and the others voiced their disagreement immediately. The moment this matter was chosen to be settled privately, it would mean that they were guilty, that they had really stolen the other party's possession. This would blemish Xianxia's reputation, and if the matter reached the master teacher pavilion, he might even be taken in for investigation. It would be impossible to explain himself then. Enough. Keep your mouths shut. Xianxia's face darkened. If he didn't keep the matter privately, Zhao Wei would surely be taken in for interrogation. How would he dare to face his senior, if a mishap happened to his student while she was under him? You choose to settle it privately. Not expecting the other party to be willing to pay 10 million gold coins for a student's sake, Physician Bai Chan was surprised. He then adapted quickly and sneered, I'm fine with settling it privately. However, I recalled that this 1,000-year-old green steel flower is incredibly valuable, and it is impossible to get it at 10 million, requiring at least 50 million. Take this sum out and I'll leave immediately. Otherwise, I apologize, but I'll be taking her with me today. 50 million? What kind of medicinal herb would be worth so much money? You just said it's worth 10 million. How can you inflate the price so abruptly? Damn it! Hearing the other party raise the price to 50 million, everyone burst into an uproar and glared at him furiously. Xianxia clenched his knuckles. In his numerous years as a master teacher, he had never suffered such humiliation. Why? If you wish to settle this privately, hurry up. My time is precious and I don't have any to waste on you. Physician Bai Chan raised his cup and gazed at Xianxia gleefully. You! Xianxia's face steeled. Xianxia, I'll go with them. He is obviously the one who tried to take advantage of me, yet now he frames me for stealing his medicinal herb. I don't believe that Qianwu Kingdom is such a lawless place. Stepping forward, Zhao Wei declared loudly. Meanwhile, in the room, Zhongxian had just washed up and as he was about to go to sleep, he froze all of a sudden. That sounds like Zhao Wei. Can it be that they have arrived? Chapter 299, A beating after half a month getting along with each other. How could Zhongxian not recognize Zhao Wei's voice? Who else could the owner of that angry voice be, if not her? After a brief moment adjusting his clothes, he pushed open his door and came out, immediately noticing the two hostile and opposing sides in the lounge. It really is her. Upon seeing so many familiar figures, Zhongxian's eyes lit up. He didn't expect that they would arrive at Qianwu Kingdom right after him. Furthermore, they happened to put up lodging at the same inn, which was extremely lucky. Is that person Bai Chan? Glancing at the fellow standing opposite Zhao Wei and Bai Chan, Zhongxian realized that it was the fellow whom he knocked unconscious at the alley back then. Seems like this fellow is trying to bully my student. The situation wasn't complicated and it didn't take long for Zhongxian to understand the situation using just his own observation. Zhongxian knew very well what kind of person Zhao Wei was. Stealing? What a joke. VAR Axid 6327 document element by excise 6327 SSP 6327-math floor date now. Window to pubic stag window pubic stag window pubic stag. On the other hand, this physician Bai Chan was greedy and lustful. He wasn't anything good. Since Zhongxian happened to meet him here, he could use the chance to teach him a lesson. Chuckling lightly, he lifted his foot and began walking over. Zhao Wei, you can't go. You won't know what will happen if you follow them. Hearing Zhao Wei's decision, Xingyang and the others panicked. It was clear that the physician and the patrol squad were in cahoots. If she were to follow them, Who knows what kind of crime would be pinned on her? Can't you tell? He's doing this intentionally. No matter how much money you give him, he'll just keep raising the price.
Zhao Wei said. Everyone fell silent. She was right.
The other party was clearly taking advantage of them just because they were outsiders. Even if they agree to give him money, he would simply say that it was insufficient. Perhaps, he might even claim that he has lost something else. Rather than to face humiliation here, she might as well follow the patrol squad and vie for her innocence. The crowd thought that the capital of a Tier 1 kingdom would be filled with hopes and that they could fulfill their dreams here. Yet, right after arriving, they encountered such an incident and a sense of helplessness gloomed over their hearts. If you go, it would be falling for the other party's trap.
I have no choice.
The patrol squad is here, and looking at how adamant he is on insisting that I stole his herb, I will be taken in regardless. With their fists clenched tight, everyone was infuriated, but they found themselves without any solution.
50 million. So be it.
I am still willing to settle it privately.
Liu Xia shook his head, full of indignance.
Just as the saying goes, a dragon by the shallow shores would be ridiculed by a prawn, and a tiger which leaves its mountain would be bullied by a dog. If such a thing happened in Beiwu Kingdom, this fellow before him would have been beaten to death right on the spot. But over here, despite his status as a dignified master teacher, he was rendered completely helpless.
Liu Xia.
The crowd was incensed. They squeezed their fists tightly, and their faces were steeled. Enough, it's just a small matter. There's no need for anyone to go. Just as everyone thought that this matter was a hopeless cause, a slightly lazy voice echoed, and with his hands inside his pocket, Zhong Xian strolled over.
Ah,
teacher.
Zhong Laoxia, why are you here?
Zhong Laoxia, you put up lodging here as well. Seeing him emerge from inside the inn, everyone was taken aback for a moment. Then, furious joy overwhelmed them. They had been searching for him the entire night, but to think that he would be right under their noses. Ignoring the crowd which was filled with excitement, Zhong Xian sauntered to Physician Bai Chan and smiled, "Are you the one who is bullying my student?" Thinking that victory was in his grasp, Bai Chan sipped on his tea, not even bothering to lift his head to look at Zhong Xian. As such, he didn't recognize him. Gesturing grandly, he harumphed, "It's your student who stole my possession. I am merely retrieving what I lost."
Steal your head.
Before Bai Chan could finish his words, he heard a voice, and a shadow flitted across his vision. A teapot had crashed onto his skull. Pang! The teapot shattered, and steaming hot water drenched his entire body. Scalded, Bai Chan leaped up abruptly and fanned himself hard. You are fricking courting death. These days, be it the guild leader, nobles, or prestigious clans, who didn't treat him with respect? Yet, this fellow slammed a teapot on his head. How dare he? Hair fell off from his entire face under the hot water. His head, which had become as red as a braised pig head, was steaming, and the aroma of cooked flesh could be smelled. Teacher! This is way too intense. Zhao Wei and the others widened their mouths in shock, and their lower jaws nearly fell to the ground. They knew that Zhong Laoxia would definitely stand up for them, but they didn't expect that he would do it like that, smashing a pot of hot tea into the other party's head. The heck? Zhong Laoxia wasn't even treating the other party as a human. On the other hand, Liu Ling and Lu Zun's lips twitched, and they nearly fainted on the spot. If this was a matter that could be solved through brute force, why would he, as a Xianxia realm master teacher, behave so subserviently? Just from how arrogant the other party acted, it was clear that he possessed an extraordinary status. Furthermore, he had the patrol squad standing guard right beside him. Yet, Zhong Xian still chose to slap him hard in his face. Seems like this matter will not end peacefully. This is too rash. Liu Ling shook his head with a bitter smile. This senior of mine has always been calm, always planning his actions carefully. Why is he acting so rashly today? This is Qianwu Kingdom, not Qianxian Kingdom. To beat someone up right after arriving, not to mention a person of tremendous standing. The thorns in the path ahead can already be seen clearly. Has this fellow gone mad? That is Physician Bai Chan. Squadron leader Yarrow and the other squad members didn't expect such a twist and were dumbstruck. Are all of you here to catch a show? This fellow made a move on me. What are you dawdling around for? Kill him. VAR Axid 10081 document, element biodex ID 10081, SSP 10081 math floor date now. Windowed at pubic stag windowed pubic stag window pubic stag. It took him a while before he could recover. Seeing the patrol squad standing idly by the side, Physician Bai Chan bellowed angrily. Yes. Only then did they recover from their daze. Squadron leader Yarrow drew his sword and charged forward. Lad, how dare you touch Physician Bai? Do you not know who he is? How dare you attack someone in the capital? Who do you think you? Aya, the hell. Before he could finish his words, a shout of agony escaped his mouth, and his face was immediately distorted just like a fried dough twist. Then, he flew backward, flipping a few rounds before landing on the ground more than a dozen meters away. Squadron leader. The entire patrol squad flew into a frenzy. The heck? They were the Kingdom Patrol Squad. They represented the kingdom's dignity, and wherever they went, people would be trembling, careful not to step on their toes. Yet, that fellow gave a tight slap to their leader. Lad, you are making yourself an enemy of the kingdom. With a roar, they charged forward to avenge their squadron leader. However, before they could finish their words, a series of crisp sounds echoed in the air. Pa! 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 Their faces warped, and they were sent flying as well. In an instant, wails of agony echoed in the air. We're doomed, doomed. The inn and the attendant in the inn almost clawed out all of their hair upon witnessing this sight. They thought that this incident could be resolved quickly since the patrol squad was present. It had been many years since anyone dared to lay their hands on a patrol squad. The only difference was that the one 10 years ago was a Xianxia realm primary stage wandering cultivator. He had a conflict with a patrol squad member and ended getting violent. Eventually, he became wanted throughout the city, and in less than a single day, he was caught and executed. Yet, not only did this fellow beat up the entire patrol squad, he even scalded Physician Bai Chan's head into a pig head resembling mess. They thought that it was just a simple affair that could be resolved quickly. To think that it would escalate so dramatically. If they knew this would happen, they would have never gone to look for the patrol squad. If the authorities were to blame them for housing such violent characters, their inn would be shut down immediately. You are courting death. Physician Bai Chan finally regained himself from the searing pain. Through his puffy eyes, he saw members of the patrol squad lying all over the ground. Infuriated, he turned to Xianxia and declared, "You're done for. You're really done for this time. To dare to lay your hands on even the patrol squad, no one can save you now." Before he could finish his words, he felt his throat tighten, and an excruciating pain could be felt at his neck. Xianxia had lifted him up. Pa! 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 He felt stinging pain on both sides of his cheeks. Just like that, he had been slapped more than a dozen times consecutively. No one that can save me? Are you sure? Xianxia smiled brightly. Woo! Physician Bai Chan was on the verge of tears. It was too painful to bear. He had never suffered such a beating from birth. Not daring to spout any further nonsense, he slowly opened his swollen eyes to look at the person who beat him up. He was intending to imprint the other person's features into his mind so that he could get back at him in the future. However, with this single glance, his face turned deathly pale. Too familiar. He was the fellow who was with Princess Mo Yu at the Red Lotus Range, as well as the one who knocked him unconscious. The status he possessed today was all because of him. That's right, it's me. Throwing Bai Chan to the floor, Xianxia said impassively. I. Bai Chan's expression became distorted. If there was a person whom Bai Chan wanted to meet the most, it was definitely the person standing before him. It was because of his impersonation that he possessed such an important standing today. However, if there was a person whom Bai Chan would never want to meet, it was this very person as well. He could expose the fact that he wasn't the one who treated the great Herb King and pull him down from his high horse. Once the truth was exposed, who in the Physician Guild would respect him? Who would even bother to look at him? He thought that he merely had to guard against Princess Mo Yu. Thus, wherever she went, he would avoid. This way, he would be able to continue living off the prestige of having treated the great Herb King. However, never in his wildest dreams had he expected to meet Xianxia under such a situation. And not to mention, he had even tried to take advantage of the other party's student. Was I courting death? Even if Xianxia didn't touch him, just by revealing the fact that Physician Bai Chan wasn't the one who actually treated the great Herb King, he would have been pummeled to death by the countless physicians even before he could take a step out of his own doors. Senior, we're in trouble now. Seeing the unkempt and head-swollen Physician Bai Chan, Liu Ling walked forward and could not help but to shake his head. Trouble? There's no trouble at all. Xianxia answered casually. Since he had made his move, it naturally meant that he had long thought of a solution to resolve this situation. If everything else fails, he would just have to feed each of them lethal poison. He didn't believe that they would dare to wreak havoc under the threat of death. This is the patrol squad. To have given them a beating. Not knowing what Xianxia was thinking, Liu Ling spoke a short few words before stopping. Then after hesitating for a moment, he continued again, "Why don't I go to the Master Teacher Pavilion to seek for protection? Given my identity as a Master Teacher, the Qianwu Kingdom shouldn't dare to do anything to me for the time being. It is just that I might have to undergo judgment at the Master Teacher Pavilion. The Master Teacher Pavilion carries the responsibility of protecting Master Teachers, but if Master Teachers were to err, they possess the authority to judge them as well. Originally, because the other party tried to exploit them, they had valid reasons in their defense. However, now that Xianxia had beaten them up like that, no matter how they explain it, they were the first to get physical and hence, in the wrong, there's no need." Xianxia gestured. Pointing to the Bai Chan, whose head had swelled to resemble a pig head, he said, "He'll settle this matter for us." Him. Liu Ling was perplexed. Even Zhao Yue and the others looked at Xianxia in bewilderment. The very reason why this fellow is here is to cause trouble, and not to mention, now that you have smashed a teapot on his head and even beat him up into such a state. If he could, he would probably kill you on the spot, yet you hope that he'll settle this situation for you? You must be pulling our legs. Even Lu Zun, who was standing off to the side, shook his head as well. This senior Uncle Zhong is exceptionally talented in various occupations, but he has one fatal flaw: he is too rash. With such a personality, it is a matter of time before something grave happens. Physician Bai Chan, what do you think we should do? Ignoring the doubtful look that the crowd cast on him, Xianxia turned and smiled at the physician whom he had just beaten up. Cough cough, this. Despite the other party's smile, he could see a menacing gleam in his eyes and cowered backward immediately. I am in the wrong. I was blinded by lust and came to cause trouble for your student. Don't worry, I'll resolve this issue quickly. After which, Physician Bai Chan stood up, and with an expression full of righteousness, walked over to Squadron Leader Yao's party, and took out a bottle of medicine. This is some medicine to treat superficial wounds. Also, here is 100,000 worth of gold bill. Squadron Leader Yao, you should bring the men to eat something good. Physician Bai. Seeing how the fellow was paying and speaking up for the person who beat him up, Squadron Leader Yao and the other patrol squad members were on the verge of madness. However, at this moment, the hushed voice of Physician Bai sounded by their ears. Sure, this person over here has connections with Princess Mo Yu, and I saw him traveling alongside her. You should know how to handle the rest. Connections with Princess Mo Yu. Squadron Leader Yao and the others froze, and their eyes narrowed. Chapter 300. Extorting Physician Bai. Even though Princess Mo Yu couldn't compare to Mo Hongi, the #1 genius of Qianwu Kingdom in the past 1,000 years, she was nevertheless a top-notch genius. Her status far surpassed any other princes and princesses. Furthermore, she was on the verge of passing the Master Teacher examination, besides being highly favored by the Emperor. In fact, there were even rumors claiming that he would devote the resources into grooming her as the candidate to become the next emperor. This way, he could prevent the throne from falling into the hands of Mo Hongi. To have connections with her? Traveling alongside her? Could it be? They were merely ordinary soldiers who relied on bribes to earn some additional money. Offending the princess's friend, That was no different from suicide. Are you serious? Squadron leader Yao's heart quivered, and he found himself unable to accept the situation. How is the world be so small? To stumble upon the princess's friend in such a huge Qianwu kingdom? Besides, the princess had always maintained her purity and stayed a distance away from the countless geniuses who attempted to pursue her. They had never heard of her having such a friend. I wish that it were false too. Physician Bai Chan looked as if he was about to cry. This. Seeing the other party's expression, the patrol squad members immediately understood that it was true. After all, this was the up-and-coming, highly prominent Physician Bai Chan. To not even dare to retaliate after getting pummeled into such a state, something was clearly amiss. Since that's the case, then we'll accept Physician Bai's kind gesture. Farewell. After struggling to his feet, Squadron Leader Yarrow clasped his fist. He didn't dare to offend Physician Bai, needless to say, Princess Mo Yu. Rather than asking for a beating here, it was much wiser for them to just leave. To be patrolling in the capital, if they didn't know how to adapt to situations, they would have long been beaten to death. Regardless of whether it was Physician Bai or Princess Mo Yu, they were both figures whom they couldn't afford to offend, and it was best that they leave as soon as possible. Hualala. In just a few moments, the patrol squad members disappeared completely. How are they leaving just like that? Liu Ling and the others were still worried just a moment ago, and upon witnessing this occurrence, each and every single one of them became dumbfounded. This was especially so for Lu Xun. He thought that his senior Uncle Zhong had been too rash, and upon seeing this sight, his mouth twitched violently. That was the Kingdom Patrol Squad. They represented the dignity of the kingdom. They got beaten up so badly that their entire faces were swollen like pigs, yet they walked away without a single word. However, this wasn't the end yet. Physician Bai, who was so arrogant as to disregard even Liu Shi, walked up to Zhong Laoshe and bowed respectfully. That, elder, I have already settled the matter. Do you think that I can leave now? Everyone's eyes popped out. Senior, you are already in your 40s to 50s, while the other party hasn't even reached his 20s. And you call him your elder? Do you have to be so shameless? Can it be that, are all Qianwu Kingdom civilians that cheap? Do they have to be beaten up before they can talk properly? Yuan Dao could not help but mutter. Upon hearing those words, even though the crowd remained silent, internally, they couldn't approve of Yuan Dao's words anymore. How in the world did Zhong Laoshe do it? That fellow was already threatening to make this matter known to the entire city before they even did anything. With the smash of a teapot on his head and more than a dozen consecutive slaps, wouldn't he exterminate everyone here? Yet, at this moment, he was behaving just like an obedient dog. No one could understand what had happened, and at this very moment, all they could feel was deep admiration for Zhong Laoshe. It seemed as if, regardless how insurmountable an obstacle could be, once it comes into his hands, it would become a non-issue. Lu Xun had initially harbored hopes of comparing with the other party. From the looks of it now, his thoughts were truly laughable. Leave? Don't be in such a hurry. I'm not an unreasonable person. Since I did something, I will definitely take responsibility. After all, I do feel embarrassed for beating you up. Zhong Xian glanced at the other party. How do you intend to deal with your injuries? I was asking for it. It will be fine if I just find some medicinal paste to apply. Physician Bai Chan laughed dryly. Make the other party take responsibility? He didn't dare to. Putting aside his relationship with the princess, just the fact that he could treat the contract GU, which baffled even 3-star physicians, showed how incredible his mastery in the way of medicine was. Most probably, no one in Qianwu Kingdom would be able to match up to him. In addition, considering his relationship with the great Herb King, make the other party take responsibility? That was no different from committing suicide. Since you say you deserved it, I will not interfere. However, you framed my student, and this has left a huge trauma in her mind. How should we settle this? Knowing what the other party was thinking of and what he feared, Zhong Xian looked at him impassively. Physician Bai Chan's mouth twitched. Didn't you say that your stalk of medicinal herb is worth 50 million? How about this? Since your actions have left a scar in my student's heart, you will use this money to compensate her. After paying up, you can scram. Otherwise, let's see if I will break that calamity-bringing thing of yours." After which, Xianxia's eyes drifted downward and fell upon a certain spot. Feeling terrified, Physician Bai Chan could but help but to shudder. I don't have so much money." After a moment, Physician Bai Chan replied meekly with a tearful face. He was only a one-star physician. Even though he had swindled quite a bit fortune and committed many evil deeds, he wasn't able to save up that much of money. "You don't have it." Chuckling lightly, Zhongxian's hand stretched out all of a sudden and stabbed straight at the other party's forehead. Almost jumping in shock, Physician Bai Chan's neck tilted backward and simultaneously, his mouth opened just a little. "Who?" Zhongxian flicked his finger and an object flew straight into his throat. Cough cough. "What is this?" Pinching his throat, Physician Bai Chan's face paled. "It's nothing much, just some good stuff which the Great Herb King gave me." "Didn't you treat the Great Herb King's illness? You should be familiar with him, right? You can try asking him about it." Zhongxian answered casually. "Aye." Physician Bai's face reddened, and his legs went weak. Unable to suppress himself any longer, he fell to the floor, kneeling. "Elder, please be magnanimous as to spare me." The Great Herb King was the spokesperson of the Poison Hall. Even without thinking, it was clear what the other party fed him was. "It's not impossible for me to spare you. We have just arrived at the capital, and we don't have a place to stay. I want you to find a mansion near the Master-Teacher Pavilion. Once you're done, I can consider saving you. Otherwise, even if I don't do anything, the Great Herb King's poison should be more than sufficient to send you on your way." Zhongxian waved casually. Even though this fellow's character was atrocious, he could still be of help. Zhongxian and the others had just arrived at the capital, and they were strangers in a strange place. With Physician Bai taking care of stuff for them, many difficult matters could be resolved easily. The reason why Zhongxian chose to beat the other party up directly was that he knew the other party would recognize him. Back then, he was with Princess Mo Yu when he encountered the other party, so the other party would surely think that they were related. If the situation was any different, such brute actions would have had a completely opposite effect. Thus, he decided to render help from Physician Bai. This way, they could have a reliable person stand up for them and settle any matter that occurred in the future. "Elder." Physician Bai Chan felt dismal, and bitterness welled on his face. What the heck is this? He had merely drunk a little bit of alcohol and teased a beautiful lady. In the end, not only was he scalded with boiling water, the assaulter even demanded a mansion as compensation. Why does he have to pay despite being the victim? Why? Are you unwilling? Fine then. I heard that the poison which the Great Herb King gave me causes maggots to grow in one's head, resulting in a constantly groggy state of mind. If it gets severe, the person might even rip off his clothes and run about nude. This will last for 3 days straight before one succumbs to death. I wonder, does this suit your taste? Zhongxian said. Physician Bai Chan felt so terrified that his face was drained of color. Even though his behavior was atrocious, if he really did something like stripping nude and running in the city, life would lose its meaning. Why? Don't you like it? That's easy. He gave me 18 types of poison back then, and if you don't like it, I can let you try something else. Zhongxian said. Don't. Tearful, Physician Bai Chan shook his head in a hurry. Elder, there's no need to go through that much trouble. Isn't it just about looking for a mansion? This is simple, I will do it right now. I'll find one by tomorrow. Having been inflicted with poison, his life and death were under the other party's control. Since he couldn't defy the other party, he might as well submit to him. UN, that's more like it. Sun Qiong. Hearing his reply, Zhongxian turned around. Young master. Sun Qiong walked forward. Xianxia was his old master, and naturally, he would address Zhongxian, who was Xianxia's student, as young master. Follow him and look for a good mansion. Tidy the place carefully. My teacher may be coming in 2 days. Zhongxian said.
Is old master coming? All right. Sun Qiong nodded his head in excitement. Hurry along then, are you waiting for the sun to rise? Placing his hands behind his back, Zhong Xian said. Yes. Physician Bai Chan quickly nodded his head and left. He didn't wish to stay here for a single moment longer. Only after leaving the inn did he heave a sigh of relief. He couldn't help but turn to Sun Qiong, who had just chased up to him. May I know, what's the name of your young master? When he met the other party in the Red Lotus City previously, the other party has merely mentioned that he was a fan of his before knocking him out. Even today, the other party had not revealed his identity. Even though he was so fearful of him, he realized that he didn't even know the other party's name. Our master is called Zhong Xian. Sun Qiong nodded. Zhong Xian. Physician Bai Chan was perplexed. He hadn't heard of any prince or incredible genius going by that name. You spoke about your old master previously. May I know who he is? Even though Physician Bai was bewildered, he didn't dare to underestimate them. Thus, he continued asking. Our old master is a master teacher of a grade exceeding 3-star. Sun Qiong said in admiration. A master teacher, of a grade exceeding 3-star. Physician Bai Chan trembled. Even Qianwu Kingdom's most formidable Xianxia, the pavilion master of the Master Teacher Pavilion, was only a 2-star master teacher. Yet, Zhong Xian's teacher was a master teacher who had exceeded 3-star. It could be said that if his teacher wished to do so, he would be capable of destroying the entire Qianwu Kingdom, at his whim. This Zhong Xian, so he's actually a student to such a person. Indeed. As the old master's direct disciple, the young master has received his inheritance. The reason why he came to the capital is to take the master teacher examination. Not only so, he's a 3-star painter, 2-star beast tamer, and 1-star apothecary. Sun Qiong continued. 3-star painter, 2-star beast tamer. Physician Bai Chan's body stiffened. It was no wonder why he was so incredible at such a young age. Any single identity that he casually mentions would already be earth-shattering. Perhaps, even Princess Mo you might be inferior to him. If you serve the young master and old master well, you will be in for a life of glory. But if you were to betray him, I believe that I don't need to tell you what would come. Knowing what the other party was thinking of, Sun Qiong added in. Yes. Physician Bai Chan nodded. Thinking about what he had enjoyed in the past few days, his heart leaped all of a sudden. The events today are truly unfortunate, but perhaps, this might also be a rare opportunity. Thank you for listening to PandaAudioBooks. If you love what you hear and want to support my work, check out the PayPal link in the description. Every bit helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to stay updated with all our latest audiobook chapters. We'll see you in the next one.